A wild Meta-Heinrich-kite appears.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Thursday, the 8th of September 2016. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
It's goddamn Thursday.
And Robert Kemp.
It's Thursday.
So your mineral is a kind of Pokemon now?
Meta-Heinrich-kite? It sounded a bit like a... What's the meta? There's a Metapod. Metapod, isn't it?
I think pretty much every word sounds like a Pokemon, more or less.
Yeah, I guess. I'm just looking back at our previous minerals, and yeah, most of these would have worked. A Gerdite's a pretty good Pokemon.
Gerdite. Yeah.
Gerdite.
Are you sure that isn't already a Pokemon? It's hard to know.
I'm not quite sure about Lauren's WoW site. That's not a good one.
I don't know.
It's a bit long for a Pokemon. Then again, Meta-Heinrich-kite.
Maybe too many words in the intro word there.
Meta-Heinrich-kite? I don't know. It's a German mineral.
Only to be found in German places.
It's
not necessarily in Germany, but just German places.
Just German places.
Yeah.
Just go down to your local Bratwurst restaurant.
Exactly.
And that's what the bar made.
Just go down to your local Bratwurst. Stick it out of the ground.
It's just hanging out. It's like a landmark.
That's where you go in Pokemon Go to catch Meta-Heinrich.
I bet it's a Pokestop. Just go to the Bratwurst. It's a Pokestop. Get your balls. Get your balls. Hi, guys.
Yo, what's up? You still playing Pokemon Go?
You know what? I probably played more of it these last week than I've ever played of it.
These last weeks?
These last week.
These last weeks. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Week.
What, since the craziness died down?
Well, I sort of had a moment.
They actually updated it and made it... Yeah, I don't know. Has it improved?
Not really. It seems the same.
Right.
Well, I was up north, and I had to wander to a pub
you
at one
mean
point.
north?
Up north.
There we go.
And I had to wander to a pub at one point, and I had my work phone on me, so I turned Pokemon Go on and caught an oddish.
I didn't know there were any Pokemon up north. I thought you had to come to like central London to catch anything, according to the.
Well, you know what? I did all right. There seemed to be some stuff on the route.
Everyone's complaining that if you live in the countryside, you're screwed.
Well, there's no Pokestops about.
Exactly.
So it's like you can't get your balls restocked for free, or you can't get your you can't get some potions to heal the Pokemon you aren't battling.
How do they get hurt if you aren't battling, or you battle?
You have to go to gym battles. I held a gym for about 5 minutes because no one else was there, so I yoinked it, and then someone who's like 10 times more powerful than me turned up.
5 minutes later, up north.
Up north.
Mm-hmm.
This gym was apparently it was a pub. It was the pub gym. I don't think there's a gym in the actual Pokemon games for pubs. So this is the pub trainer.
If every pub's a gym, there's a lot of gyms.
They've run out of. They haven't done a Pokemon based on a pub yet, have they? They haven't had the beer Pokemon.
For obvious
based
reasons.
on a pub.
They done one based on barrels.
They
They could still do a barrel mon.
No, I don't think so.
Pintmon.
Pintmon. Pintmon. Well, pretty much every Pokemon sounds Jamaican if it ends in mon.
Which they very rarely actually do.
Yeah, are there many that actually end in mon?
I mean, I can't think of one.
I'm sure there's a few.
Pintmon.
So we're back on a Thursday.
Yeah, because you're buggering off for the weekend.
Yeah, I'm busy this weekend. Weddings and all that. And this is in the middle of nowhere, so I'm probably not even going to get Wi-Fi or even general receptions.
Well, aren't you going to a reception?
Yes, there'll be a reception, but not that kind of reception.
So, does the reception you go to count as a general reception?
I suppose. I hope that comes through strongly, otherwise I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I can't quite hear the music you're playing.
I'm just going to stand over here. Maybe it'll be better if I stand on top of this hill.
This toast, it's like you're dropping a paperclip on the floor. I can't quite hear your clink. These jokes are too flat.
I'm getting a lift out there, but I mean, we're leaving at 6, which is way too late in my opinion, but I guess people have work and stuff. But still, it's going to take like 5 hours to get there, I reckon. It's going to be midnight before we get to the...
That's fine. Rock up, order a kebab. You'll go to bed, you'll be ready.
That's true. Maybe I should eat before we go. It's probably a good idea.
Well, I suppose it's not so bad if it's 6 as your leaving time.
Yeah, I could eat just before.
Still order a kebab, though.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
It's a short-time food. Actually, it's not short-time food at all. You need to go to Mackie D's for something like that. Just rock up and leave.
That's true. Well, I probably could. They're picking me up at Victoria, so it's a station. I'm sure I'll have a Mackie D's or something very quick that I can do beforehand.
Mackie D's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got any stories really from
those
last week, other than I went and played a bit of Pokemon up north. That wasn't the entire reason for being there, by the way. I'm not that crazy. But
did you find anything up there that you wouldn't have found down south?
No.
What was the point of going up north? Oh, work or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Lame.
I'm a little bit lost on the details of how I spent the last few days. It's all a blur.
Did you drive up there?
I did. Well, yeah, I always drive up there.
You always drive, yeah.
4.5 to 5 hours worth of driving.
What did you listen to on the way out? Podcasts?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
always podcasts.
Naturellement.
That's how I get all the news that I steal for this show. I mean...
When do you listen to your podcast, Egg? Like, do you still go out walking and stuff or that?
Sometimes,
with your little MP3 player thing?
There's always games that are podcast suitable.
What's your current podcast game?
Still Factorio.
Factorio, right.
I suppose Eve is quite a good podcast game, right?
Well, depends on what you're doing.
Not fighting?
Yes. Everything
else in that game? It's quite a lot of else. I still can't really do that. I still can't really podcast and game. I would just listen to anything, really. I'm just not. I like to be engaged with my game.
Yeah, me too. I can't cope with that kind of multitasking. I think my brother did it with Minecraft a lot. He'd watch TV and play Minecraft. But I don't know. I can't really do that multitasking thing.
No,
because
I've sort of tried with the DS to sort of have that out, do something, and watch telly, but I just end up realizing I'm not really watching the telly. I don't really know what's going on.
The only thing I can do that involves like a multitask is basically watch a quick look or a let's play on one monitor while like browsing the internet on the other. That's about it. And then I lose track of, if I find something interesting on the internet, then I lose track of what's going on in the let's play.
Yeah, I do find myself doing that. I do occasionally have like a podcast on when I'm working first thing in the morning when I'm not going to be working at my best. I'll put the podcast on, and there are times where it's just like I'm going to have to go back like 10 minutes because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes,
now.
I missed that whole thing. Yeah. I get that even walking around sometimes. If I start thinking about something, I miss the last 10 minutes of podcast.
Just in your own head, man.
Yeah.
That's how the best shit happens.
Not necessarily.
Best/worst.
Apparently it's more interesting than the podcast, though. Depending on the podcast. Hopefully not our podcast.
No. You have to stay razor focused on this podcast.
Exactly.
Clearly this podcast is the best.
You couldn't possibly be doing anything else while listening to this.
No. We meander so much in conversational topics.
Yeah.
You don't even know what we're talking about. Hey, unicorns.
Exactly. What's the deal with them? What's with the horn?
They're in Metal Gear Survive. I don't know. There you go.
Are they? Oh,
well, the zombies kind of have giant red metal spikes coming out of their heads.
I haven't
the kind of zombicorns.
Watched the trailer for that thing, although, yeah, I don't really want to know about that.
Zombicorns.
It's not like they're going to ruin the franchise. It's already insane. It's just not going to be a good game.
No, it's hard to know. It's hard to know whether you can call it. I suppose in some respects you can say it's ruined because it's like,
yeah,
it's the non-Kojima game, right? And what did they go for? The blandest possible option.
Has there not already been some shitty Metal Gear tie-in game that had nothing to do with Kojima? Has that never happened before? I can't believe that.
Other than the Pachinko, I'm not really. Well, maybe the portable ones. I'm not sure.
No, apparently they're really good, aren't they?
Well, they're okay, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how involved he was.
I think he was, because don't they matter in terms of the story quite a lot?
Yeah. So they're still canon.
Yeah. It's amazing how much of that story of like Big Boss in particular relies on you playing this PSP game or whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one was it. Was it because there was Portable Ops, and then was there another? Oh, Peace Walker.
Yeah, Peace Walker. Peace Walker's quite important to the whole, because that's where the whole MSF stuff actually happens, I think, and where they construct Mother Base and everything.
Yeah, it's a direct follow-on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ground Zeroes, effectively.
In fact, Ground Zeroes has characters in it from Peace Walker that you wouldn't know if you hadn't played that PSP game, right? It's a PSP game, is it? Yeah.
Hey, there's a point. Maybe this may be a spoilery discussion
already. All right.
Do we want to get into it? It's Metal Gear Solid 5 story stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to? Can you remember it? Should we come back to it? Should we do the news?
Well, hang on. There's just one. It's not really relaxed. I haven't been playing it, but it's just one little detail that I can't remember happening. I'm pretty sure in the intro for Chapter 2, like you get that little coming up sort of reel.
Right.
They showed some Paz.
Oh,
from Ground Zero.
Have you seen her at all?
No.
Okay, so I got her quite earlier on. Like she just
not that I remember anyway.
I can't remember how I unlocked it or whatever, but she's just in a room in Mother Base. I can't remember how I unlocked it. I don't think I found her or anything. Maybe I did a mission or something, or a side up or something. Anyway, she just is in a room that in the medical platform that you can go and visit her in, and there's a couple of cutscenes there, and she's like humming or something, and that adds as an item in, her humming appears in your audio, so you can listen to it, whatever, the tapes, which is a bit weird. There isn't much to it really, but I've had it pointed out to me.
Other than the fact that she's alive.
Well, I've had it pointed out. Yeah, it's quite weird. But then I've had it pointed out to me later in that it might all be a hallucination of your character.
Well, that makes more sense. Yeah.
And supposedly, like, I haven't checked this, but supposedly the room in the base that you go to visit her can't actually physically exist, because if you go, it's like a TARDIS or whatever. If you go around behind, there's no room for the room. So yeah, the whole thing might just be
stairs. It could be stairs.
Yeah, but you can go and visit there any time. I think. I don't know. I should go back now. I finished the game, see if it does anything different. Anyway, yeah.
I never found that. So you just sort of stumble upon it.
I can't remember how she appeared. But it doesn't make any sense, right? Because she dies at the end of.
Sort of explodes.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, who knows? And she's pretty. I haven't actually played the game where she's actually in, i.e. Peace Walker, but she doesn't seem like much of a character, to be honest.
I don't know, when she's a spy that sort of went unspy.
They're all.
She seems fairly important.
They're all triple agents, aren't they, or whatever? Yeah, she's important to the plot, but she's not she doesn't have much character. I just think.
Right. I see what you mean now. Right, gotcha.
Which, to be honest, is true of freaking
most of Metal Gear.
Revolver Ocelot in this game, anyway. He doesn't do much. Well, he does stuff, but he he's pretty flat in this one, isn't he? Compared to the other ones. He's probably the most important character in Beyond, in the whole series, isn't he? Beyond Big Boss and Solid Snake, it would be Ocelot probably, because
maybe
he's in all of them from 3 chronologically all the way to 4, which is the last one chronologically.
Yeah,
he's like the baddie.
I'd pretty much argue that Big Boss is probably the single most important character to all of the Metal Gear canon, right?
Probably.
He's pretty much referenced in all of it in some way.
Well, that's true, but he's not alive in some of the most important ones, like Metal Gear Solid and 2 and 4. He's been gone
technically, but his legacy and him, is kind of a thing, right?
But you could say that his legacy is kind of a continuation of the boss's plan.
Sort of,
plan in a way. So I don't know. Anyway, Metal Gear. It's
Metal Gear?
A weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
ID?
ID. It's a shame that that's one thing that's a bit weird in Metal Gear Solid 5 is that for
it's
some
not really
reason,
quotable, is it?
Well, there's a few stupid ones like
Damn Fiddle!
Well, Damn Fiddle's in Ground Zeroes, and then there's the such a lust for revenge. Whoo! That's the classic one from this one. There's a few quotes, but yeah, but it's a bit weird that they use fictional vehicles in places where they used to use real vehicles. Like, there's no real reason why the helicopter isn't a Hind in
licensing.
I guess they used it before, and it would be historically correct to have a Hind in Afghanistan in 1980s Afghanistan. That was where they were most used, I would say. Yeah, but it might be licensing.
It's always licensing.
But then you could have been Hind D, or probably would have been a Hind A or something at that point, but who knows?
Yeah. A Hind A. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it. I can't remember anything that Kiefer said, apart from, like, kept you waiting, huh?
What, in terms of memorable lines?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the ridiculous, you're all diamonds, blah-de-blah stuff, where he puts the thing on his face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. He's mostly silent, which is intentional, but it's done to the absolute extreme. Like, Kojima basically he was like, wow, the technology is so good now, we can do everything from, like, expressions and stuff, and he doesn't have to actually talk to get the point across. And that was his idea throughout the whole game, so that's why he doesn't speak. And
everyone else speaks a lot.
Yeah. But it also makes sense with who he is and everything, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't quite know how to speak the speak.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anywho.
Talk the talk. Metal Gear. Hey, Zach. How's your kitchen?
It's fine. It's still in a mid-state of disrepair, as everything still needs to get finished off. New surfaces and all that crap.
Do you have a kettle to surpass Metal Gear?
Definitely not. It's like still that same shitty kettle.
Damn it.
That's never going to be better than a Metal Gear.
How's the
I bet there's some part in a Metal Gear where you can just pour water in there and it would boil pretty fucking quickly.
Oh, I bet. That's got to be a ThinkGeek product, right? A Kettle Gear.
Oh, that's so
Kettle
good.
Gear Solid.
That's so good.
Americans don't have kettles, so it doesn't really.
Don't they?
Well, no. Have you heard this? Like, apparently, Americans don't drink tea. Mainly, one of the reasons is because
coffee.
In homes or whatever. Like, I don't know if they even. Anyway, it's to do with the electricity system. So they're at what 110.
Yeah, they have
15 amps. So they have a higher amperage but a much lower voltage. So their power draw is less if you multiply. So basically, electric kettles just take ages to boil. Ours are
just don't work. Right.
Our kettles are like 3 kilowatt, and I think theirs is like half that, or 2 kilowatt or something. But they just take they work, but they just take forever to boil. So it's just that's why they don't drink tea, because it's inconvenient to boil water.
Do they have hobs?
Yeah,
like
but
get
then
an
you'd
old
have
kettle.
to. Yeah, you could do that. You could with gas and
gas
everything.
kettles.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, it's much less convenient even for us to. Like, when was the last time you used a gas kettle? We used to have one, didn't we?
I don't know. Yeah, my parents used to have one.
Yeah,
That
but
was
it
all
does
right.
take ages.
You just
It's not convenient.
it's not that long, but yeah.
Well,
Just
I
stick it on the
remember it
hob.
taking a while, but it might have been because the kettle was a weird designer kettle, so it might not have been the most efficient shape. But it did take a while to boil, and then it was incredibly loud. The whistle on it.
Yeah. Wee. Better go deal with that. So do they not drink? How do they drink coffee? Do they all buy Nespressos?
I don't think they drink. I don't think they do so much like coffee without a whole machine or going to. They go to Starbucks or something, don't they?
So how do they invite someone in for coffee?
Oh, that's a good point. They must all have like coffee machines or something, or like your one. But then, how does that boil the water? It doesn't make sense.
It's one of those weird zigzag things, and I don't know how. I don't know how it works, but
yeah. I mean, I think
they have boil systems.
I think they have special plugs in the kitchen, which are basically two.
Oh, like cookers?
Yeah. But I think they might have one that for general use in the kitchen that gives you
drinkable
basically
hot water.
two sockets, basically double the voltage.
Hmm. Oh, I get it.
Yeah, because we have those, right? I mean, you must have them, right? Do you for plugging in? Are they special sockets for plugging in, like the tumble dryer or whatever?
No, they're just sockets.
Just same
you
as
just
normal.
plug them in and go.
Okay, that's easy then.
They're just not like wired in a way where they're split off. You know what I mean? Like you get some plugs where the wiring is still like one, but effectively those two ports on your wall are as if you just plugged in one of those power adapters with like 5 things off it.
Right.
So I don't know. For some reason, that's better. If there's just one wire carrying.
I think you need a special connection for an electric cooker. I don't think you can just plug that into a normal socket.
I think it is, but all they do is put an isolator on it.
Right.
I think.
Okay, maybe that's it. I don't know how electronics works.
No.
Household electrics, anyway.
What phase is it?
Phase. Well, that's the thing. You can get 3-phase, can't you, for the industrial, semi-industrial stuff.
Are you phased by your power? I have it, so I'm not. I have your power. That's how that sounded. Anyway.
Kitchen.
Kitchen. I don't know, my dishwasher smelt funny. I don't...
This is great. Okay. Maybe there's no kitchen bitching this week.
No.
Right.
I assume I just have to stop using really tall plates in the dishwasher because I think it might stop the rotors, but...
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
No. It smelled kind of funny.
I can't remember if you have a dishwasher, so I guess you do, don't you?
No.
No? Do you have to do the washing?
Well, only when I'm here by myself. I don't generate enough washing up for me to need to do washing up more than like once a week when I'm here by myself.
Right. Do you pile up your own to do your own washing up, or do you like leave
no?
Yeah,
someone always does washing.
He's a piler.
Someone always does the washing up like every day. So I just if whatever one plate that I've used just ends up in there.
Just pile it on there.
He's a pile of swine. Actually a Pokemon. For reals.
News! So you mentioned Eve. I heard it was going free to play-ish or something. There's something new, right? Is that Zeg? Is that right, Zeg? Tell us more. It's the World of Warcraft model or something.
Well, sort of, except kind of not really. I don't know. I was trying to think if it was comparable to anything, but it probably isn't because it's not exactly leveling. It's like it's a limit to what skills you can train.
So you can do everything except you can only train certain skills and fly in certain ships. Is that right?
Because the ships are limited by the skills.
By the skills, right. Okay.
So yeah, it's only a skill limit, which like is theoretically equivalent to a level cap, I suppose. Is it just after you've trained every skill that you can possibly train, you can't do anything more, so you're stuck at that level?
Right. So would it be fun to play? How long would you play the game, and have fun for free?
Depends what you were doing, probably. Like for the old theoretical plan of corporations getting lots of small ships together for fleets and stuff.
Yeah.
That would probably be fine for having a bunch of those accounts.
Do you reckon the corps will just like farm those out, like just somehow get like run multiple instances at once and just like I got shit tons of accounts now.
Of course they will.
I can fly my own fleet.
Everyone already has like so many goddamn accounts running at the same time.
Oh yeah, but now it costs them like 5 times less.
Well, for the ones that they don't need high skills for, yes.
Oh yeah, an infinite number of low skill fodder. Imagine the next fight; it could be ridiculous.
I mean, it might be theoretically interesting to see if it has any effect on like AFK mining, where it's just like huge fleets of one person running like 20 accounts. Because that was a problem for a while, even with proper accounts. It was like all the issue of like detecting macros and stuff, where it's like you can run 20 accounts and like AFK mine legitimately, but if you're using a macro or some kind of automated system to push buttons on your keyboard, then no, you can't do that.
That's not allowed. So
No.
how do you do it? Like legit, like at the keyboard?
Or you just have like basically a switcher that cycles through all the instances of Eve, and then you just hit the buttons as it goes past.
Right.
What you need is one of those like like your second monitor or something showing stuff a bit like a CCTV, a bit like Star Fox Guard, so you can see everything that's going on, and then just
well, yeah,
check into
they
which
probably
screen
have
you're on.
like sufficient monitors to have like half screens on every account or something.
Oh man, do you reckon they have one of those Tiger displays that just like fills a wall? That's just like each one is like a little monitor, and like 9 of them.
But it'll be interesting for me anyway, because like I'll have a reason to look at my other 2 accounts, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure on at least one of those accounts, the main character won't have trained all the skills that I can theoretically train on a free account. And I've got alt characters as well, obviously. Even on my main account, I could start training Dr. Nick again.
Wow.
Although I don't know, he might have got most of the skills that can be trained.
What, just from the occasional alting?
Yeah, just from when I switched over to him from time to time. Yeah, that would be nice.
Has his face changed in the past 13 years?
Well, yeah, when they did the new avatars and I had to recreate everything, and I was like, I'm going to try and recreate these as close as possible, and it wasn't really possible, particularly not for my main character.
Oh, were you trying to keep the same visage?
Yeah, more or less.
People must have been annoyed that they couldn't.
Yep,
achieve
they
the
sure
same
were.
thing.
So yeah, and also because of the weird way this system actually works, I could still theoretically play my main character. I just wouldn't be able to do all the stuff that I could normally do. I'd be limited down to those skills.
Oh, I see. So you could carry on if you stop paying or stop playing. You could, because you got to a point where you could actually play.
Well, sort of.
Just
Depended how
enough.
significantly I was playing it. You have to grind fairly hard to be able to keep up with the out money, and it got worse as the cost of the subscription things went up.
They made it harder to.
Well, the
stay
market
in
made
the
it
game
harder.
without paying.
Like they didn't really make it harder. It was
I
supply
see.
and demand.
Mm. Do you think that will make that stuff? How will it affect that economy? Do you think? I guess they've got their economist guy to tell them.
Well, that's what they say. Where they're like, we don't think we've made sure that we think that this probably won't affect the economy very much. Although it was weird when I looked at like the list of skills that you can train on these free accounts. There's a surprisingly large amount of like the industrial skills, which I wasn't really expecting. Like they allow you to do like several levels of mass production, so you can run like multiple industry jobs at the same time. And I was like, that seems a bit like quite liberal for if you don't want to mess with the economy, to allow all these extra accounts to just run industry jobs all the time.
So do you think a lot of them will be real people, or do you think they'll be alts? Or
Of course there'll be alts.
well, some people might be like, oh, it's free to play, or I'll give it a try.
I mean, I've had several times.
Some will be.
I've had several times where like or when Eve's gone on sale on Steam for like £2 or something for a month, and people have been like, let's go and look at Eve again for a month, and then no one ever continues, but maybe now they will.
Because they won't have to spend any money at all.
Yeah.
Until they hit the limit. Is the limit like just like you're only allowed this set of skills, or is it like a skill point thing as well?
It's
like,
a specific set of skills.
Okay.
And like specific levels of certain skills as well. You don't just like it's not just the skills and up to level 5. Some of them it's like, oh, this skill you can only train up to 4.
Is it clearly marked? Well, I suppose you wouldn't know with your paid account, I guess. But
well, yeah, they haven't really said how it's going to appear in game yet. It looks like it's just going to be a thing in the character sheet, because there's already skills that you can't train on trial accounts, the previous version of trial accounts, which were the ones where you could like give a 30-day trial to someone through email or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So there's certain skills that you can train on those accounts anyway, so I expect they'll be marked in a similar way, in the skill sheet and on the market and all that.
Right, that's the Eve news.
Yep.
How much of the economy is going to get boned?
Probably not all that much.
Is it not going to like just bone up the market for the ships the old accounts can fly?
Not really. Those ships are so cheap anyway.
Yeah, they're the rubbish ones, aren't they? I guess.
There's sudden demand.
There's millions of them all over the place.
News.
Okay, so what else is going on?
BT is suing Valve.
What?
Well, they're going to try to, apparently, but I wouldn't think they're actually going to succeed at all.
So,
why?
Kotaku had a pretty, basically quoted some of the patents that, in theory, that Valve are infringing that belong to BT. And typically, these patents are fairly vaguely worded.
Well, they're not just vague, they're also ancient, which is why they're vague.
Yeah, and fairly all-encompassing in some cases. So, I've broken down 3 of them here, where it's and tried to explain it in my own words so I understand them later. So here goes. An integrated way of allowing users to buy content from other provider portals. So I'm guessing that means that you're effectively using Steam to buy Origin and Uplay games.
Right.
And apparently that's a BT thing. That one kind of makes the most sense to me. Maybe that you could have a patent for some kind of crazy integration. Things you're selling, your own distribution channel is distributing stuff from other distribution channels. Maybe there's something there.
So can you do that on Steam right now, like buy Origin games? Or?
But you have done for years.
Well, not Origin games, not any longer. I mean, probably there still are games for sale that... I don't know, actually. The only one I can think of is Spore, because that's been on sale again, but I'm not even sure what would happen if you tried to buy that. I'm not even sure how that would be integrated into Origin.
Yeah, is Spore even there? I don't know. Are the Spore servers even up?
Well, the servers might not be.
Yeah.
The game should still work.
I don't know, because Spore had that weird activation stuff, right?
Sure, but then that would be the part that would be implemented inside Origin, presumably.
Yeah, you'd hope. I do wonder if I could ever get my copy to run, or if I can register it with Origin or something, or
should be able to.
Yeah, weird one. Anyway, next bullet point, which is even vaguer: a form of pull notifications, possibly based on server files. So. I think what this was about was how push notifications in theory work, where the server tells the device about something. A pull notification, I'm guessing, is the device polling, have you got anything for me? But asking for a specific server file, suggesting that okay, maybe some of Steam's processors generate files which are physical files that live on their servers that are then requested by Steam clients.
Where you make a GET HTTP request and it gives you.
Well, hang on. This is where the specifics I think might be important. You don't necessarily request files, do you? You request you make a call into something and you end up with a generated set of data for the majority of the web.
Well, it could be a flat file, like in the old days.
It could be a flat file, but yeah, but this, I guess for this particular type of polling request, you don't normally poll a flat file. I don't know. It is weird, but I wonder if there's something to the specifics here where it's like maybe that's how Steam manages all its notifications and stuff. It generates them as files, as a personal file somewhere on their servers, and your client goes and looks for that specific file, which seems a bit weird. And how would they know? Kind of.
All this patent infringing stuff is like, I don't know, really, what do you call it? It's opportunistic, isn't it?
Well, you have to be seen to be protecting them, is the thing. It's like trademark law, isn't it? Like, if you don't protect your patents, they're effectively void.
Yeah.
So big corporations are kind of encouraged to do this. And the last one I've got is basically Steam broadcasting. Like the ability to send a copy of what you're doing to someone else over the internet, or something to that effect, whilst having a monitoring screen for said broadcast. So Twitch and YouTube are, in theory, totally infringing this as well.
Well, I think in their cases it's not the same because it's in Steam, it's integrated inside the client. I think that's why it's similar to the BT idea, because it's integrated in the client, whereas Twitch and YouTube is just like a web service.
Oh, I see what you mean, because it probably tied a distribution platform with broadcasting in it.
Yeah.
But then surely Xbox and PlayStation are then, like, in theory, in trouble for this as well. Because that, you could argue that's ingrained.
Yeah, but they just use Twitch, sort of.
Sort of. I don't know what PlayStation actually uses. I think there are ways of doing it where it's internal to it, but you might be right. It probably is Twitch. You might be right. So yeah, that's happening.
Right. Stuff.
It's weird.
Okay.
Nintendo had a direct all about the 3DS. Trying to convince us that games are happening.
Any news?
I've picked out 4 bullet points. There was stuff, but these. Given how you usually react to Nintendo Directs and my coverage of them, I'm breaking it down for you. Mario Maker is coming to 3DS.
Would be ideal. Excellent. But is it any good? Like, has it got the full power of the Wii U version?
So, their language describing it was a little odd in places. They basically said that the majority of courses created for the Wii U will be playable on the 3DS.
Oh,
so
cool.
That suggests that some stuff is missing. Whether that is mechanical stuff or if that's size of level limitations are different is not 100% clear. But it looks like a pretty close approximation of the Wii U version. It's pretty much the same.
Cool, yeah.
The other weird thing they mentioned is it sounds like the search capabilities for stages on the DS itself will be kind of crappy. I don't know. They said you can't search for courses by their course ID on the 3DS version, but you can still go and find them in the 100 course challenge or whatever. It's why would you do that? Like, why would you take out searching for specific courses? Because that was kind of what made it sing on the early days of the Wii U version, right? People sharing their codes and
totally
getting the courses out and about. It's like, why would you do that? I'm assuming I'm assuming the web portal for Mario Maker will still work, so you could still mark things as I want to play this later, and then your DS will pick them up, I guess.
I didn't know there was a web portal.
Oh yeah, no, that's in theory the preferred way to go and search for stuff, because the search capabilities of the portal are way beyond what they've put in the actual game.
Right, so you can use a web app to actually find stuff and then just Okay, well,
it's still Nintendo doing Nintendo, I guess.
Sure.
Still don't quite understand the web.
Well, at least they have a portal.
Well, yeah, they're trying. So yeah, that's a thing. That's out December, I think. December 2nd. Oh yeah, I have a specific note. Mario Party Star Rush. That thing looks a bit odd. That looks a bit mental.
More Mario Party.
They're changing the formula again. The only reason I bring this up is because it looks like they're changing the formula completely, again. So the board game is instead of everyone taking their turns, everyone plays their turn at the same time now. So it's kind of a hybrid model between where they started and that weird everyone's in the same cart model that they've had for the last 2 games, which is no good. And we seem to have lost Dan. Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
I'll just carry on. And it's got like proper download play and stuff like that, so you can just have one copy and link several DSs to it to play it. So, they sort of thought about that. There you go. Mario Party on a DS. It's a thing. Wii.
The Wii?
The
What's
Wii.
going on with the Wii?
Skyward Sword is getting a re-release.
Oh, really?
But not a full-on
Not an
HD re-release. It's just being released digitally on the Wii U. Which is a bit odd, because if you have a Wii U, does this mean you have Wiimotes? Skyward Sword kind of needed
Wii Motion
Wiimotes.
Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't it need Wii Motion Plus?
Yep.
Yeah. If they patch out the motion controls, maybe that's worth a look. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to do that. It's the whole point of the game, isn't it? Well, that was the one thing about that Zelda.
Was it swordplay? Yeah.
Yeah. They made him... Yeah, he's right-handed.
And flying the beetle things.
Yeah, the whole overworld didn't look much fun compared to the ocean of Wind Waker.
Yeah, you can argue that. I think it's one of those games that, to me, like not playing many of the Zeldas, it feels like that one for some reason it feels overlooked more than underloved.
Oh, I think it is overlooked, probably. Yeah.
It's like it doesn't necessarily feel like the opinions of that game are necessarily justified through play, just through look, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to judge.
I didn't mind.
I think it looks like a Zelda game. I have no prejudice against it.
Yeah, it looks a little bit saccharine, but it's all right.
And the only other bit I've got here is Japan are obsessed with their tank games because they're trying to do tank multiplayer again next year with a game called Tank Troopers, which looks like some kind of character-based multiplayer tank combat game. So imagine Overwatch in tanks. I don't know. Again, on the DS. Multiplayer games on the DS. That seems to be their weird focus.
Well, it's because no one's buying any consoles in Japan apart from the 3DS. From what I can tell. No one's even buying the PS4, apparently, much. They're all on the portables. And Nintendo kind of dominates that.
Maybe mobile is kicking too much ass over there. I don't know.
It's interesting.
Scary. Yeah, that was pretty much all I took away from the Direct as interesting. I suppose Woolly World is coming to 3DS. They're porting that basically from the Wii U and adding some stuff to it.
Picross 3D too, because they finally realised they should have a 3D Picross game on the 3DS.
I get the weird suspicion we knew about that already, but...
Well, I think we pointed out that there wasn't one for ages.
Yeah, we definitely did. We definitely did say, why haven't you done this on a system that can actually now display 3D? Why haven't you made Picross 3D? It's in the name.
And apparently they had made Picross 3D since we did Picross 3D 2.
Yeah.
Round 2.
Yeah, and it's got 2 colours now. You've got to paint with 2 colours. The puzzles are slightly tricky.
So that'll be the one that you definitely want to play, I guess, then, Zeg.
Maybe.
It's possibly the more interesting of the Picross games, right?
Yes, we'll have to see.
So did anyone see Shigsy at the Apple event yesterday?
No.
Yeah, so he turns up on stage just before they launch a new iPhone to show off.
Miitomo 2.
No, it's Nintendo's first actual app game.
Animal Crossing?
And it's a Mario game. And guess what? It's a runner, an infinite runner.
Oh
well,
no.
supposedly not an infinite runner, I guess.
Well, not
depends
infinite.
what your
Not
definition
infinite.
of infinite is.
Not infinite.
Oh, is it?
It's a runner.
Is it a bit like Bitrate Runner then, like fixed stages?
I think so.
challenge stages.
Yeah, fixed stages.
Okay,
and tap to jump, tap and hold to jump higher. Mario runs automatically, and it looked like it had quite a bit of fun stuff with blocks that reverse your direction and all kinds of stuff. So it's not as simple as first appears, but in terms of controls, Miyamoto was like, well, this is the first time you can play a Mario game one-handed, so you can like eat a sandwich at the same time. He's like, you could eat an apple at the same time. Yeah,
we'll be giving that a go.
Yeah, I mean, it looks
even if it is a runner. Not all runners are bad. Let's put it that. Perfectly clear, but it is perhaps a little reductive.
I'm sure it makes sense. They'll do a good one, a very good one. I'm sure on Nintendo for that style of game. That style of game makes sense on a smartphone, and Nintendo will do a good one as their first out of the gate kind of actual game on a.
Perhaps they solve a lot of the problems a lot of runners have by not making it procedural. By making it a stage-based game.
Yeah, it looks like carefully crafted. And the other thing he said was, it's a flat price. There's no like in-game.
It's like a premium app. Okay.
Yeah, it's a premium app. So,
did you see Lumines came out on iOS?
I heard about that. Yeah.
I haven't played it, but apparently the control isn't so hot. But...
Well, it sounds weird because it's like portrait.
Yeah.
So it. No,
although a large portion of the screen is your next queue. It seems.
Okay.
Large, good third of the top of the screen is just your next 3 blocks.
I mean, it would make a lot more sense to do meteors, right?
I'm not sure you have enough fidelity with your finger.
Yeah,
that would work on a tablet. I'm not sure on a phone.
Yeah. Well,
you need a stylus for meteors, really.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Or for high-level meteors, as we got to, I guess. Especially Zach. Zach is too good at that.
When are they going to make one of those for the 3DS?
Oh my god, yeah, just do them. No, man, another Meteors. That'd be so good. Imagine what they could do with the music now they have more power in that thing.
But Q aren't around anymore, are they? Or what? Or what did they do? Because would they make Charm Beat for Microsoft?
Kinda, yeah. I'm not sure Q games are actually a thing anymore. I think Mizuguchi is on another thing, so I don't know who owns Meteos. I don't think I don't think it's Ninty. I don't think Nintendo own Meteos. Oh, we lost Zach this time. Connections are blinder.
Going left and right.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing there? Oh.
And he's back. Oh, this is mysterious. The
mystery. Right. What else is going on? PlayStation 4 Pro.
Before we get to that, I'm going chronologically here. Did anyone see Dara O'Brien's go 8-bit?
Chronological, as in
in the order in which it happened, other than when you jumped to Apple, but whatever. But...
Oh, I didn't realize that we did things in the order of the days across the 2 weeks. Oh,
I try to, just in case it makes sense, so we don't get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
In terms of what we talk about. But,
I never knew that.
So, sometimes it structures it better. Sometimes.
Okay.
Not always. But then Dara O'Brien's 8-bit came on. It's not related to PlayStation meeting in any way, but I just thought I'd talk about it. That was on telly Monday night.
Right.
On Dave. I think they finally managed to make a good video game show.
No.
It was all right.
Can't be done.
It was actually all right. They've taken the sort of panel show idea, but they occasionally play games.
How does that work, then?
Well, they have a chat, make some jokes. They get some comedians on. They get some games or famous people. So we had Susan Calman and David James were the guests on this one, and they're teamed up into pairs with journalists, like games journalists, and they have like a Richard Osman style. I can't remember her name, but she's been in things before. Sort of lady video game journalist who talks all the technical details and is the historian behind all the games and stuff like that. So they sort of play off that a little bit, and then so they do their little bit of blurb, and the little bit of blurb is normally to lead into the a conversation about a specific game, which they then play. So before that, they get the audience to vote on which of the teams they think they'll win, and the highest percentage of whichever team. It's a weird system in that, like, if someone votes 31% for one team and the other team gets 62%, they're going to win. That round is worth 62 points for both teams.
Right.
So it's like, if it's really off center, then the round is worth 100 points for some reason, or or if they think it's going to be a close fight, then it's worth 50 points. So it's a slightly weird scoring system, but I guess
why
it
are
doesn't
close
matter.
Fights worth less? Surely you'd want it the other way around.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. It's just voting based, so they just want to come up with some sort of audience participation, I guess.
Right.
And then they play the game, and then they get points, and with a bizarre rotating stage so they face the couches towards the big screen, and it kind of works. It suffers from a little bit of classic editing, where the editor is obviously more interested in looking at the people playing the game than actually showing the game, which makes it a bit tricky to follow what's going on sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
That's just editors not knowing quite what to do with the medium, I guess. But it does sort of work. Like, there were moments where Susan Calman was terrible at video games, and then they highlighted it in dramatic fashion, showing replays of her doing loops in Chuck E. Egg instead of her being able to control the game. It's kind of good.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Go check it out on Dave. It's all right. Check it out. What was the game featured?
Well, they played quite a few. They played the original Tekken. They played Chuck E. Egg.
Tekken's not a bit.
No, they kind of break the rules a little bit.
Right.
I think there was Blind Tetris, the classic where you have one player telling you what to do while the other player is blindfolded and actually has the controller.
Right, yeah.
Which went terribly, but it was pretty funny to watch. And then at the end of the show, they did a bizarre... they sort of come up with stupid ways of playing games. So they basically took Super Buster Move and made their own version of it. And then, through the power of conductivity, made it so they had to touch people around them in order to make the motions go in certain directions, which was highly weird because they just had like someone dressed as Chun-Li and Zangief for one player, and he just had to touch them on their wrists or their chest or something, and it would detect that as as conduction, and then move the cursor on the screen. It was really odd, but fairly entertaining. That's the thing. And it's weirdly aimed at us as an age group, I would argue. That sort of people who grew up with this thing rather than the kids of here and now, I guess. Which makes sense, I guess, given their hosts.
Who is it? Dara Breen and anyone else?
Dara Breen... Well, yeah, they have two regulars, but I can't remember their names off the top of my head. They're video games journalists that have been in the game for a long time, and the sort of their Richard Osman lady equivalent is the same thing. She's been doing a lot of journalism over the years. Mm-hmm. I think she was one of the. I think they were all guests on Video Game Nation, which was a short, ran for one season video game show on Challenge, I think. So I watched a bit of because it had Dan Ma, who used to be off Inside Xbox, on it.
Oh, yeah.
Was he Mr. Pointy Head? I think he might have been Mr. Pointy Head. Yeah.
Cool. Check that out on Dave, I guess.
And then last night, PlayStation meeting. Do you want me to do the full, my show rundown?
Well, if you've got
There's
notes.
not really that much to run down, is there?
No, there isn't.
There isn't. Did they?
Not a great deal. They said a lot in the terms of garbage marketing talk. Yeah. Hey, it's the best time to be a gamer right now. It's the best time. But they pretty much sort of got straight to the point. PS4 Slim, they acknowledged its existence. They didn't acknowledge the leak's existence, but they just sort of said, hey, we've made Slim. And called it the standard from now on. So the original PS4 is going non-existent, I guess.
Yep, it's toast.
As you would expect.
Standard.
It's out in a week. So September 15th is its official launch day, and it's 259 quid. And yeah, it's a PS4. as normal.
But slightly
with that. Yeah, but slightly smaller. I actually kind of don't like the new look as much as the old one, I've decided. Those rounded edges and the sandwich look, it's a bit crappy. It looks cheap.
It does look cheaper, for sure, I think.
Yeah. And, we might as well just skip around here. The PS4 Pro looks the same level of cheap.
Well, it's like it's like a club sandwich.
Yeah, it's basically the same size, just with an extra bit of bread on top.
Well, not exactly the same size.
It's a little bit bigger.
Quite a bit bigger.
It's definitely one's your standard go to take to school sandwich, and one is a serious club sandwich you get at like a restaurant.
A taste the difference pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a strangely muted auditorium and actually the reveal. They didn't seem to really big it up.
It was especially
too much.
weird because I watched a little bit of this on Twitch stream, and it was quite strange hearing the kind of applause or lack thereof when contrasted with the Apple event, which was about an hour before. And Apple were not announcing anything particularly good, to be honest. And everyone was going woo and all of that stuff and clapping loads for all of the crap that they were coming up with. We've removed the headphone jack. Woo! So,
yeah,
because we're courageous or something.
And we think wireless earbuds with no cables at all aren't going to get lost in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, or that nick straight out of your ears.
Boy.
And they look really strange. I've never seen wireless earbuds that look like sort of little hair dryers.
They're a bit dangly.
Yeah, they've got little sort of cylinders sticking down, I guess, so that you can talk. Which I guess is good, but
what you reckon? One of them might have a jawbone style mic in it. Or...
Well, apparently they have. I think they might both have mics and bone, whatever sensors, vibration sensors to get a clear sound.
They're probably technically great. I think they look like garbage, but
yeah. Well, I don't like the sound of the standard ear pods or whatever the hell.
No,
I throw them away and get a Sony headphones immediately when I buy an iPhone.
Or Sennheisers are good if you want inner ears.
Yeah, I find my Sonys quite trusty because they're not too expensive and it's good sound. And because basically I realized that I bought expensive-ish in-ear headphones, and you realize after a while that it doesn't matter how. If you pay more, they don't last longer because there's just
the cable still breaks.
So you have to strike a balance of like how much you're willing to pay for sound quality, given that you know that you're just going to have to accept when they break. Whereas other things, almost all other electronics, I don't expect to break like at all, really. But headphones, I've come to realize the in-ear ones that and also I keep them in my pocket, so. That's going to be annoying, but I just won't buy an iPhone, so that's fine. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, contrast with
PS4
the Sony event.
Pro. Yeah. So it was kind of. I didn't think their reveal was very well staged, let alone like the total lack of enthusiasm from the crowd. I guess it's because we knew all of this was coming, really. They didn't really say anything.
They should have padded
the
audience. That's what Apple do.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure they could have found some super fans of PlayStation to stick in there.
I mean, the only thing we really learned from this was that it's called Pro and not Neo, and that it's a club sandwich. Like everything else, we kind of knew.
I mean, they showed some gameplay footage of stuff playing with the more powerful console, which they then streamed in crappy quality, so you couldn't tell the difference. Yeah,
you couldn't really see it. And the classic problem with going here's HDR. Can't you see the difference? And it's like, no, it's a bit bloomier on this screen. I can see I can see less.
Well, that's why they said they uploaded the files. So you can download them if you happen to have a 4K monitor to watch one.
A 4K monitor with the high dynamic range, I guess.
But it's just a little strange that they did that on. I guess it's for the people in the audience, but it just comes across as a little weird in an era where this is going to be streamed to the people that don't have their stuff. It's like, here, look at this, isn't it great? And it's like, well, I can't tell.
I mean, they're adding.
For the record, HDR does
that.
look pretty. For the record, HDR does look pretty great.
And
You
they
see
did
it run.
say they'd add the HDR back into the standard PS4,
Which-
with this firmware
which is
update.
neat. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure that was going to be possible. Because I guess it just happens that their HDMI standard is just good enough that they can do that.
Right. Yeah.
It certainly basically did say that the games are probably not going to actually render in 4K resolution, and then sort of talked around it by saying, "Hey, we've got this fancy temporal anti-aliasing and other techniques." So he's basically saying games will upscale to 1080, but will probably
4K.
render above 1080. And
that would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what the intermediate resolution is. Probably people would just go for. Well, if they go for 1080, then you just quadruple everything, don't you? Which is not the best upscaling, is it, I suppose? Because 4K is 4 lots of 1080, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly.
That's the res, isn't it? Yeah. Christ.
So I wonder if they go like something like 1440p and up that, because this thing isn't. This thing, let's be real. This thing isn't going to be a massive performance jump over the last one. It's going to be a jump, but
not
it's
like
not
Project Scorpio, which apparently
it's not what Scorpio's promising.
Yeah,
it's its ability to render 1080. It's not going to be that much. It's not going to be that much higher than that. And even then, they said that.
I mean, it's not going to happen. But I have a 1440p monitor, so if it could output that would be great. But I don't think it will.
But even then, they said that developers have the choice of how they use Neo. They may choose to stay to 1080 and just increase the world graphics, or even weirder, they seem to suggest that the Neo or Pro will be able to choose how it upgrades the graphics based on what screen you've got attached. So if you've got a 4K screen, he seemed to imply that it may choose to up the resolution over upping the detail.
Okay, so it makes choices on your behalf or whatever.
Yeah. So does that mean if you run a 4K HDR screen, it just goes, oh, you know what? You probably want the resolution over the extra foliage. Presumably the developers are fixing that, and that kind of makes sense to fix that, maybe. But it's a little weird. It's a very strange scenario to be in terms of console land, because it basically means there's now 3 or 4 different variants of the same game.
Yeah.
On the same console.
I mean, PC games have lived with having a million variants for years, but it is. I agree, it's slightly strange. It's the brave new world.
Yeah. So they started hinting through the talk, actually, they sort of were casually dropping hints as to when this thing was actually going to be released. So Call of Duty were first up, basically saying, hey, we'll have day one support for PS4 Pro in Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered. And it's well, you're coming out in November, so this thing's coming out in November? And it turns out that was pretty much dead on. November 10th is the release date.
Right.
So, again, not long. And it's $399, which I think worked out as £359. So £100 more than the regular one. So, which, again, not terrible pricing.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse. Yeah. So, yeah, all right. And we did get to see a bit of Mass Effect Andromeda, which I'm not sure we actually really saw before.
No, we haven't. I wasn't impressed by that, although I saw it.
No, it didn't. It's hard to tell. I'm not sure the graphics were really shown off there, apart from when you got a brief bit of particle physics-y stuff when the cloud turned up.
It's very weird how your character was sort of walking around and then doing dramatic jetpack jumps and then carrying on walking slowly.
And how your teammates just suddenly appear at the end.
It's like what RPG style.
Why is that happening?
It very much looked like work in progress footage.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's like maybe they hadn't animated any of the other characters yet. They'd only had the models for cutscenes.
I mean, I never had particularly high hopes for more Mass Effect, but I don't know.
I really want it to be good. I'm kind of not hype, but I have hope, but not hype. If you see what I mean. I really want it to be good, but I just don't. I'm not convinced it will be.
I think
also that demo seems to just be like the story of Border Worlds. It's like there's all these vaults and all these different planets. They've just nicked the ending of Borderlands 2. No, Border Worlds. That was what that was going to be. Borderlands 2, where there's all these other vaults.
Mm.
Yeah,
it was weirdly like exactly the same.
Do you reckon they're going to do Border Worlds?
I don't know. What is that developer even doing in general? They're just a publisher.
Well, they did Battleborn last.
I guess.
And selling the rights to Telltale.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they're secretly working on Border Worlds, some kind of weird, not really MMO.
I'd be surprised if they didn't do a next-gen Borderlands of some kind, but who knows. Finally, this wouldn't have been a PlayStation conference without at least one case of technical fuck-uppery. As the guy from Call of Duty basically walked on, he starts talking, and then weirdly you can hear some background chatter of some guys just going, "His mic's not on.
His mic's not on.
His mic's not on."
I mean, that was
and then they handed him a proper mic, and it worked.
Yeah,
his mic's not on.
Slightly embarrassing. That wouldn't have happened at the and didn't happen at the Apple event.
I know. In fairness, Microsoft haven't really ever had a hitch
like that
on their shows yet. They're always pretty slick. So that's the news. Unless anyone's got anything else.
Nope, I think that's about it.
News.
Right, let's move on to what you've been playing. Whose turn is it this time?
I don't know. Yours?
Mine? Where were we? I'd finished Metal Gear, hadn't I? I've done that.
I don't think we talked about finishing Metal Gear.
Didn't we? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not on air.
Oh, that's right, because I guess I did it because I've been on holiday, so I guess I did it just at the end, at the start of my time. So, yes, that makes sense. I finished Metal Gear. Hooray!
Anything to say, or is it just now, what am I doing next?
Sort of. I'm trying to figure out what to do next. I mean, story stuff, Metal Gear. I mean, it's annoying that you have to replay that whole intro mission, complete with tutorials and everything, just to get the ending. But
that small, 30 seconds of clip. Yeah,
I expected it to be the same, and then I kind of. It took me a while to realise that it was going to be exactly the same, pretty much. That I would have to go through every...
I did hope for more twists.
Well, I mean, just in that mission, I was hoping that it would let you skip the tutorial stuff at least.
No, yeah.
But no, anyway. But it didn't really matter. I mean, I can
only assume it was unfinished.
Yeah, I think it seems like that whole back end of the game was rushed. Which is weird because it's such a long game.
Yeah.
With so much content. It seems like it could have been, if they planned it better. But I guess they just cut the cord on him, I guess that's the idea. But he could have planned to... I feel like, it's a really epic game with tons of stuff in it. But they could have planned it better and known what resources they had to actually finish it. And then, do you know what I mean? They could have put less surprised. In it and made it make more sense, or not more sense, but just more satisfying.
I'm surprised Konami didn't just cut it at the end of Chapter 1 and then very clearly say that, hey, this is Metal Gear Solid 5 will be sort of episodic, maybe, and perhaps throw Chapter 2 in finished as a DLC pack, or
they could have done that, but I don't think they wanted to carry on development at all, really. Beyond online stuff, so but it's fine. It should have been called like people have pointed out. I mean, it's a shame they called it Part 2 or whatever they called it. Episode. No, what's it called?
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 is stupid names for those things. It should be main game and epilogue, basically. Or what do you call it?
Bonus content.
Kind of. I mean, there's quite a lot there, actually. Even if you take out the the retooled missions that you've played before. There's still quite a lot there, really.
The story stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Which is good. Like, if you're disappointed by Chapter 1 in terms of Metal Gear-ness, it gets more insane than Metal Gear in Chapter 2. So, and it helps explain what's going on in Chapter 1 as well, which is good. There's a lot of those audio tapes to be able to listen to those.
And a lot of tapes.
I think I fully upgraded my base, or I think I've got one more thing to platform to upgrade to level 4. But yeah, pretty much got all, and I got all the fun toys and stuff that I wanted, so it's pretty good. And I didn't really kill anyone apart from that I had to, for I guess story reasons. I should go and look at my stat, but I think I killed like 11 people or something in the course of the game, so that was by accident probably. So that was quite cool. I think I'm probably never going to play it again, story-wise. Although you never know. But
you've got stuff to finish off, presumably.
I've got tons of side ops to do, and I quite enjoy doing the side ops, to be honest. So I probably will go in. And there are more missions in terms of the retooled missions. I haven't done the last few. There's Saladcast in extreme mode and stuff like that, which I'm not sure I'm bothered with.
I think I did that one. I'm not sure.
Oh, did you do it? Oh, right, okay. It's probably not that bad once you've got all the.
Oh, maybe not the first one, because it makes you do the first Sahelanthropus. I think I skipped that one.
Oh, I hate that bloody bit. That bit was really bad. It's 1 5-minute section in like a really, really long game. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it is all about what to decide to play next. I had a quick go at Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but it ran really, really badly for some reason, even though it's quite old. I tried to run it at my native res, and it was, I don't know why, it was dropping frames all over the place, and it found it quite difficult to play. Actually, I tried to turn down the graphics, but it was looking pretty shoddy as well at the same time. I think it's just not that optimized or something. Anyway,
if you run things at 1080 on your 1440 monitor, do they still look does the scaling look all right?
I don't really know, because I never do that.
Okay.
Because I don't want to, but I should probably give it a try. But
I mean, I guess that game was designed for 1080 on the PS4 and stuff.
Oh yeah, well, it's probably before.
Because don't forget, Black Flag was originally released on PS3 and 360 on like 720. So it's like the PS4 version at least was
1080. Yeah. So that was weird. But it put me off a bit, and it was like, oh, I remember. Yes, the traversal mechanics in Assassin's Creed, are quite polished after all this time, I suppose. But I have to relearn all that shit. When to be holding in the right trigger for the free running and all of that, jumping off buildings the wrong way and falling to your death stuff. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to figure out how all this stuff. Anyway, and today I gave the Doom demo a try, which is only 10 minutes or whatever, but that runs really great. So I don't know what's going on with it.
It's an amazing...
Tech-wise,
ID engines.
Yeah.
They're always
although
amazing.
it didn't work at all really until I upgraded the graphics driver, and then it worked fine. I don't know what was wrong.
Really?
Well,
can you Vulkan it?
I don't know.
Can you Vulkan the demo? They might not have patched the demo to support it. I don't know.
What is that then? That's a different driver.
Yeah, well, Vulkan is, instead of OpenGL, it will run on Vulkan, and in theory, you can squeeze an extra 10% out of your.
Is that NVIDIA?
Out of your card. No, it's just
open. It's an open source one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I saw the option. I didn't. I mean, I saw the drop down, but I didn't see the options in the drop down. So I just left it on OpenGL. But maybe I shall switch that. I think there were options in the demo, so maybe I'll give it a try. But
if it's already running at 60, then you'll never notice.
Oh, it's running fine. Yeah, maybe in chaotic scenes it would drop, but because you've only got so much in that demo or whatever. And you're only really fighting the imps or whatever. But it seems like a lot of fun, definitely. And
it's a fun game.
I wasn't, my fears about the melee being a bit much were. I mean, that seems absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I think it looks worse.
Yeah,
maybe from the outside than it does to actually play it.
Yeah, somehow that's true. But yeah, it's cool. And so I think I might try Shadow of Mordor next. I don't know.
I think that seems like a you kind of game.
Yeah, I think so. That was weirdly mentioned in the PlayStation Pro news. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was a strange callback.
Anyway, yeah, it's
I guess Warner Brothers wanted to be there in some capacity, and it's like, well, what do we show? They should have shown Batman. If they were going to do that, shouldn't they have come out with like, oh, here's Arkham Knight, we've PS4'd it. I mean, we've Pro'd it. Pro'd.
Well, so I'll give that a try, see what the performance. I mainly want to see what this the fuss is about with the rival system with the whatever the system's called with the orcs, and that seems really cool. And it's a little of Assassin's Creed, a little bit of Batman combat. See if it's
a little bit of stealth, a little bit.
And I quite like. I mean, I have to see how badly they use the license, because I have to see whether it engages me in a kind of Lord of the Rings level at all.
I see what you mean.
I haven't watched those films for a while, so I'm gonna go back and watch.
I get the impression they play it fairly light, actually. In terms of
exactly.
Trying to tie it, so it's.
Yeah, so I'd probably give that a try.
Cool. That'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah. That's me.
Not tempted to go in on Doom then after the demo?
Doom.
It's more of that. Well. It just gets more insane.
Well, I'd probably get a bit overwhelmed quite quickly, but I mean, yeah, I'm kind of tempted.
Doom.
I was thinking, looking at my list of games, that there aren't any big PC first-person shooters like they used to be that I want to.
Especially not single player.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Happen.
Single player. That kind of doesn't happen anymore. That used to be the genre. What is it now? Call of Duty isn't really a PC game.
I mean, you can play it if you want to play the campaign of those, and they're not really bad versions.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really interested in that though anymore. So yeah, it's weird. I don't know, Deus Ex. It's not really a shooter.
Well, I am getting a little bit interested in Infinite Warfare. The more I see of that, the more I kind of like where it's going.
Oh,
but I'm a little bit like stuck. Because like a bit of me is like, well, I'm probably going to buy a Pro when it comes out. Like finally dip into the PS4.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll probably pick up the Pro. But then also it's like, well, do I want Infinite Warfare on the Pro or like on PS4 to get the most out of its newfound power? Or do I do the classic thing, which is stay on the Xbox because that's where Kippers will be playing?
That seems sensible with that.
Even though I'm more interested in the campaign part of Infinite Warfare. Yeah. Tricky one. I probably will end up with the Xbox version. But follow the crowd.
Yeah. There'll be
you're right.
On the PS Pro or whatever.
But you're right. Generally, single player FPSs have kind of gone the way of consoles only. Or if they are on a console, you hope there's a PC port. I mean, admittedly, Doom is on consoles, right? And apparently it plays perfectly well there. Like you can
really.
I know someone who's playing the PS4 version of Doom, and it seems totally viable, despite its crazy speed and despite its. I think the auto aim is relatively generous, but it's it's totally playable, runs perfectly fine. That kind of stuff. We just have to hope Microsoft will eventually make Halo 6 on PC. Come on.
You never know. I mean, that's a new strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, they did say all their first-party titles are going to head that way. Halo. Come on. I guess you played Tricky Towers with me last weekend.
I guess I did, yeah.
Yeah. It was a sort of house party thing, and there was a PlayStation turned on, and Tricky Towers was the game of the moment, it seems.
So had you heard of this before?
Well, no, it only just come out, apparently.
Right,
I had to look it up. Yeah, it's a sort of slightly weird physics-y take on Tetris.
Yeah.
Would be the way to describe it, where the goal is to actually build towers rather than clear lines. But woe befall you if you accidentally cause the physics to create diagonal blocks, because then you're screwed.
Yeah, I found it quite tough. Although tricky. I'm pretty shit at Tetris anyway, so I'm not very good at rotating blocks fast enough into the right configurations.
I guess the clue was in the name, but it was actually surprisingly difficult. I don't think its power-up system was particularly good for the multiplayer, but...
Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah, seemed all right.
Yeah,
seemed all right. It was relatively good fun. The puzzle mode was an interesting take on how to do things.
That was kind of cool.
Try to build wide rather than up, and if you go too high, it's how many pieces you have still standing. That was kind of interesting.
And everyone you drop raises your base. Yeah.
I guess that game fell down a little bit because it kept you on the grid at all times, and it's like, I need to move this and yes, you're moving your blocks in half spaces compared to normal Tetris, but sometimes that still wasn't quite right. It'd still be half of a half space.
Yeah, moving the half space was quite weird.
It caused me to screw up quite often. But then, of course, when your tower gets sway on it, it's like the grid really doesn't help me here.
It seemed you couldn't really slide blocks down the side of other blocks and stuff very easily, or sort of Tetris.
No,
style.
Or I think if you tried to press against a block, it counted as a collision, and any collision takes control away from you.
Right.
So you couldn't. If you were sliding down, as you say, the thing, and you pushed right. If you're sliding down the left-hand side of a block and you push right, it's like you'd cause your block to collide, and then you lose control. Right. And the physics took over. There was a specific you could use the bumpers to do a hard shove to the left and the right, if you wanted to really try and jam it in somewhere. But that didn't really work very often for me in terms of trying to get something in the right place. But yeah, it killed some time. It was a pretty good, fun little game.
Yeah, not bad. Especially for that kind of situation. Plenty of people. Because, you don't need to know much to know how to play Tetris, but then it's pretty tricky to get good at this thing with all the weird physics.
The physics were a little unpredictable, I guess, would be my main problem with it. Sometimes you felt like, I can jam that in there, no problem, and it would stick like glue. And then other times it would be like, oh no, that's toppling real badly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought I did the same thing. I mean, it seemed to have rules it was modeling weight and stuff, so you could weigh things down in order to make some of your moves a bit more bizarre and stuff like that. So yeah, the physics was relatively strong. Relatively. But it just means it was unpredictable.
Tricky Towers?
Yep.
Out now.
I think it's on Steam as well. I think.
Cool.
Anything else you tackled?
Me? No, I'm done. What you been playing?
Me or Zegel? Should we get Zach to talk? He's very quiet.
Go for it. If you.
Well, hey Zach, what's happening?
There hasn't been much happening at all, really. Mainly for this last week, I've just been incredibly tired. It started last week, as Rob knows, where I had to just leave his house super early because I was like, holy shit, I'm just going to fall over.
What happened?
I don't know what's happened. It's just this whole week has been recovering very gradually.
Did you get
Your
sick?
eyes did look bizarrely dark last weekend. Just sort of a shadow was cast over your face.
It's just quite annoying. And it's just I slept so much, but that doesn't... It's I think I've mentioned it before. It's I can only sleep for so long before my back complains, so I have to not sleep any longer. It's very ineffective when you actually want to sleep more.
Is that because you sleep on your front like a weird person?
No, it's just because I have a terrible back, as always.
It's interesting. You can't sleep it off because you will always be in pain after 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
I did sort of get around it when I came home from Rob's at the weekend, where I was just I went to sleep immediately and then woke up at like 5:30 and then just sat at the computer for an hour and then went back to bed again. It's like sitting up for an hour was sufficient to stave off the back pain. So that's that. That's why I haven't been doing much shit. I played a whole bunch more Factorio. Still, these goddamn like long-term high production target achievements, where it's just like they're way higher than what you'd normally get through the process of completing that game normally. So it's like you're playing in the post game basically,
right?
And then you just have to keep playing it for a very long time to keep building your factory out further and further and further, like way more than you usually would. And I'm really hoping I can just get these last 4 achievements and then I'll be done with the achievements and then maybe I can go back to modded Factorio again.
Ooh, you're going to S-rank it.
Yes. They're not very difficult, really. I mean, I already did the difficult ones, the time trial ones. Just these production ones are such long-term things. So yeah, there was that. And then I played some more Rocket League, I guess, mainly. The other thing.
Did the patch come out yet?
No. Hang on, let me look at Steam. It might have already come out right now. It has not. They said it'd be today, but it hasn't happened yet.
Well, they've still got 8 hours more than we do, don't forget. If it's like...
Yeah, but stuff on Steam's been coming out at 6 o'clock when they do big releases, right? But I guess it's not really a big release. It's just technically just a patch. It's a Starbound update that happened today. That I haven't updated yet, apparently. So yeah, played more Rocket League. Finally got my solo rank up to like Challenger Elite or whatever, Gold Star.
Yay!
But I think we might be screwed in our aim of getting to blue in our dream team with Kippers, because I think my rank might be like Gold Star and then like Division 3, like right in the middle of Gold Star, because I've basically been hovering exactly there and just like slightly going down into Division 2 and then going back up into Division 3 and just constantly hovering at that exact point. It's like, oh, this might actually be the exact skill level that I'm meant to be at.
So yeah, so as a team with considerably fewer hours than you on the clock.
Well, but as a team, we have the bonus of like actual teamwork, like organisation. Yeah. That will probably compensate for the skill difference. And
our doubles play seemed pretty hot that one time we actually did it, and had a fairly decent run.
Yeah, and also once you get up into the high tiers of gold, that's where you start getting the whiners, the classic. It's like below that there haven't been that many, but as soon as you start getting up there, it's like, oh, here we go.
You know what? You're actually kind of right. You're actually kind of right. It's been like on our trips, it's not been too bad compared to season 1. Anyway, like
you don't see it so much when you're in team games because most of the teams don't talk to the other team directly.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
But when you're in solo and your teammates are like whining at you for playing defensively,
oh my god, like, your teammates are so bad. Oh, get out of the goal, Zach.
Yep, I still get that several times. It wasn't even in a ranked game; it was in like a casual game. But there was one guy who was complaining at me for being in goal too much, and then him and the other guy on our team left, and it was like I had 2 bots for a while, and then 2 other people joined, and it's like we went from losing the previous 2 games with those previous guys to just completely dominating for the next few games. And it was like, yeah, it's not really my fault; it's you guys who don't know how to team work with someone who's defensive. Because these other guys actually positioned and got in the passes and stuff, and also just like, you know, the classic problem that I still always have, where it's just like the occasions where I do go forwards and try and make a block or whatever, but then it goes past me, and then the camera swings around following the ball, and I get to watch as both my teammates who are in the goal completely can't stop a singular shot.
It's especially annoying when it's come from so far away as well. So you had loads of time for that. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, I guess. You could still be like have your momentum in the wrong direction and screw it up, as I frequently do.
But it's just it's really like people just don't know how to play defense. The problem.
Oh my god, there's like a massive daddy long legs just dicking about in my paper like what chandeliers? What are they called? Like things that cover light bulbs. Just I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just making such a bloody racket on my side. It's like
I'm sure that's not what it's like.
Can't hear anything at all.
I'll see if I can move the mic closer to it. Hang on, there we go.
Oh, nature.
Yeah, here we go.
There's a train coming, so you probably won't be able to hear shit anyway.
Oh, it might have conveniently buggered off at exactly that moment.
Naturally.
Timing.
Lampshade.
We're good. No more helicopter bugs. Sounds a bit like a helicopter.
And the other thing that I still get occasionally in Rocket League is like people still comment on the van, and I always still find that hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it? Just do people still think it actually has a significantly larger hitbox, or?
Well, everyone has been told at some point that the van is the worst vehicle, and they're like, "Oh, it's so bad," and it's like, not really.
Based on what? Yeah,
it's just like some combination of like hitbox and like the slight weight differences and stuff. It's just like all these people have been told that it's bad, but they've never actually played it, and it's like it doesn't really have that much significant difference. As I know when I switch to the other cars, and it's like, these are different, but they're not that different.
Surely you have to be super pro before any of that really comes into effect. Like, helicopter bugs back.
But it's just like, I still like in these games don't wake up from next to the bug.
It's so annoying.
No, it isn't.
It's annoying me. You can't hear it most of the time, but it's annoying me.
It's like I'm playing in these games where we're all at the same level, and I'll be MVP in the van, and it's like clearly the van isn't making that much difference.
Yeah, it's not so bad. You always play the van, then? Or not always, but generally.
Well, in the casual games, it's my casual vehicle, right? And it's going to be more convenient after the patch because apparently one of the things that's coming in the patch is vehicle presets, so you can save whole loadouts.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
When I want to switch between my casual and ranked vehicles, I can just do it with one button instead of having to go through all those 6 different menus.
Yeah,
so
that's better.
What's your ranked vehicle?
Just one of the other more normal cars, I guess.
Do you use the same one as we do for your normal ranked play?
No, I have another one.
You have another one?
The other car that's kind of the same as that car.
Right, yeah, I think I know what you mean. You have a sort of buggy-like thing.
Yeah. I do sometimes feel like occasionally that like actually screws me up versus the van, where it's like maybe I am getting fucked up by the hitbox, but where I'm expecting the hitbox to be larger. But who knows how much difference there actually is in those hitboxes? It's never really been explicitly discovered, I guess. I'm sure someone could have like hacked the game to actually like see the hitboxes for reals or whatever, but I've never seen it.
Oh, I've never seen it either. And even the flatter cars seem to, it's clear that when they hit something on top, that it's some distance away from their top.
And like sloped in a way that's not necessarily the same shape as the car always.
Yeah, like that Batmobile. Especially the Batmobile.
Yeah. But maybe that Rocket League patch will come out and then we can play some stupid Rumble.
Yeah, see how those boxing gloves feel.
Yep, power-ups.
Dim gloves. And I guess we missed something last time that we played.
Did we?
Yeah, we did talk about Overcooked. That game was fun.
I guess.
You guess? Did you not enjoy your time chopping burgers?
I mean, it's fine, but it's just like it's exactly one of those games again, where it's like you're only ever going to play this with 4 people in the same room at the same time. There's no other way to play that game. Even less than 4 people would be as good.
I think it's probably doable with 3, but yeah, 4 is where it's at. It was good fun.
So what is this?
So Overcooked is a 4-player party game, we'll call it, with a sort of... But the basic idea is you're given a kitchen, and and orders to fulfill, but the positioning of the various stations gets more and more awkward as you go through the game, making the tasks of all the players slightly harder. And it always feels like there's slightly too much to do for all of the players involved, and you get a little bit tied up in who's doing what, and then you get in each other's way, and then bits of food gets accidentally trashed because you're trying to do things fast, or various bits of equipment will get on fire, and then you have to put it out, which is also another thing you then have to do, and someone else to come off what they're doing to get the fire extinguisher and put out the fire, and then someone has to wash the plates, and whilst chopping up lettuce and burgers and putting the burgers together in the correct order to fulfill the orders correctly. Some people don't want fish and chips with chips, so you're just serving fish. There's a lot to. In one hand, it's an incredibly simple conceptual game. Like,
right.
On the other hand, actually, there's quite a lot going on when you try and play it, because it gets weirder and weirder as you go on. Like, there'll be levels that are in the dark and you can't really see where the stations are. There'll be levels where the bits of equipment are sort of moving around periodically, either blocking off certain routes that your characters can take, or just moving who can do what, really, at any given moment. And that's kind of tricky to judge sometimes.
Also, it's like it seemed mysteriously like we found a mysteriously like unbalanced level where it's just like this level is incredibly harder than any of the other levels we've just been doing.
just to get a single star. It has like the Angry Birds style, the 3-star format, and it
took us several attempts to formulate an actual strategy of how to even start to get a moderate score.
And I think we were starting to get to the point where actually we need to be going back and getting more stars on previous levels. Although some of those will be real challenging if we go back to it. I think next time we play it, I'm going to do it with the fight stick, because I had some analog controller problems and was starting to drift every now and then.
Still,
so
for some reason.
But that didn't seem to matter which controller I was using. I swapped controllers at one point and still had the problem. So I don't know if that's the game just being bad, like not having any dead zoning.
I still think it's your wireless dongle for some reason.
I don't know. One of them controllers was wired and had that problem at one point, but yeah.
I wasn't having any problem with my wired controller.
No, but you never have problems for some reason. You have the luck.
Well, it's
the luck of the game.
It's because I use equipment that's not ancient.
So now your controller must be getting on a bit now.
Yeah, but I haven't used it nearly as much as your ones. I was thinking about that the other day, where it's like the right stick on my controller is almost pristine because I never play anything that's actually using two sticks.
You never play shooters with it, I guess.
Like, really, the only things that I probably put major time in on that controller is like Rocket League and what's that castle game called? God damn it! How's that completely slipped my mind?
Team Fortress?
No,
Rogue
Legacy.
Oh yeah, castle game. Got you.
Yes, that's probably the only other game that I significantly use that controller for, really, and that's only on one stick as well. You can tell because the left-hand stick is all smooth, and the right-hand stick it's still got the little bumps on the four-axis directions.
Yeah. Whereas on my controllers, the left stick rubber is almost entirely worn away.
Yes, exactly.
Or is peeled in some way.
Too old. And
Still
I mean, that wireless dongle is way older than that. It's like extremely ancient.
No, the dongle is probably newer than most of the controllers. I think I got that after the majority of them. But yeah, they're quite old.
And also, you've got it plugged into that goddamn hub.
No, no, I do now. Yeah, I didn't at one point, but that hub's been stable like for a while now. Yeah, don't plug the USB hub. It's fine. It's fine. I could just plug the dongle straight in now. I have got spare ports. I've got spare ports coming out the AAS.
Yes, you shouldn't use that dongle.
Yeah, so Overcooked. It's good fun. I'm going to play it with the fight stick. We'll see what the fight stick's like. It's an arcadey game, so I reckon it will be just fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Who doesn't? I like my 4-player party games. It's difficult sometimes to get 4 players in a room who actually want to play the same game, but hey, we managed it this time. Right. So is that your segue, Zach? Are we moving on?
Yes.
He is? Yes. Not that I'm trying to kick you off the air or anything, but you know.
It's time.
It's
what
time.
What have you been playing, Rob?
Not a lot. I really don't have that much to talk about this time. I've been playing more GTA. I'm like I'm over 18 hours into that.
Right.
Into GTA 5. I'm sort of prepping for the submarine heist.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Cool. It's like I've pretty much exhausted all the missions I can do with all the other characters now. So it's like and I just did the taking photos of the port basically, and then it's like, oh, we're actually going to heist this thing, right? Okay.
Right. Yeah, because there's 2 options as usual, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or that one's quite different, I think, depending on which one you choose.
Well, yeah, both options sounded wildly different. And
yeah, they are different.
So I picked submarine just because submarine.
Yeah, totally.
So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, that game continues to be that game. I'm not sure I have a great deal to add since last time because it is what it is, and it doesn't really change too much as you go through. I think we
went into quite a lot of detail last time.
Yeah, I think story-wise, it's got a great deal more interesting now that all the 3 characters are kind of intertwining a bit more, and
now they're all in play. Yeah,
and it's got way more complicated, like in terms of the FBI element as well, and where's it all going is still a bit of a mystery right now. Well, I say it's a bit of a mystery. It will be related to the FIB, right? And that whole bit falling apart, and then
Yep. There's plenty.
That's exactly where it's going to go. But yeah, I'm still having a good time. It hasn't outstayed its welcome yet, but I did have the moment where it's like I feel like playing something else, but then I realised I've probably got another 30 odd hours of this left. I need to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm, done with a mission or whatever, I tend to dick around quite a bit in between them. But if you're like mainlining it, yeah, I guess it gets a bit.
Well, I'm not sure I'm really mainlining it. I'm doing things that I haven't done before whenever I see them. I'm still sort of doing the tactic of what's near me.
Mm.
I'll go do that if it's something I haven't done before. Yeah. So I think I ended up like when I was playing on the PC, not every challenge, but pretty much gold medaling every single shooting range challenge.
Right. Yeah.
Like so Franklin got his shooting skill up real fast.
That's kind of fun, that thing.
That's all right. It's a shooting range.
Yeah.
It's way easier on mouse than it is on the controller.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I still think some of the shooting sections sometimes feel way harder than anything else in the game.
Yeah, they're pretty hard in places. And that's how they make missions hard as well. I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of shooting.
And it's not totally absent of the odd bit of jank. Like when I was on that prep mission in the port, there was a moment where it just randomly said, "You've blown your cover," and it's like, wait, what? What did I do?
Right.
Like there was nobody around.
No explanation.
It just suddenly goes, "You've blown your cover." Like it's like, what?
It's not even really open world jank. It's more like the mission parameters or detection is a bit off sometimes.
Yeah, it was really odd. Don't quite understand that one. So yeah, GTA. I might need to go to the cinema again. I get a bit confused with some of the like cars. Like there was one point where I had a car and it's like I just bought a garage with Franklin garage, and couldn't put it in the garage for some reason. It just sort of said, "No, you can't put this car here." And it's like, wait, what? But it's a car garage. It's like, what else am I supposed to put in there?
Yeah, I've not had that. That's
strange. And then I drove another car to it later on, and it was like, yeah, no, you can keep that.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre.
I did see it on your TV. It does look pretty damn good on your... Not that it looks bad on mine or whatever, but it looks pretty damn good with everything on super high.
Well, as it turned out, the ultra grass was the thing that was causing its problems.
It's probably the grass, yeah.
I don't know what it was doing. Like, I need to go view some sort of comparison, but like ultra grass is a bad idea. It just melted it.
Yeah, it's not a good setting.
I don't know why. I don't know why it was adding so much to it. It's a weird one. Like maybe it's suddenly adding like dynamic shadows to every blade or something. I don't know.
Yeah, potentially.
But
it can do shit like that. So I think turning that level off is definitely, especially if you go up to the mountain or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it just really started suffering.
Have you done any like skydiving or anything yet?
No, I haven't come across any of that yet.
Okay, cool.
Other than that drug sequence you watch me play.
Have you flown a plane yet with Trevor?
Yeah. You have to do that, don't you, before you...
quite early on.
I'm not sure you have to, but there's some delivery missions, and then there's
right, yeah.
One where we have a route where you can fly under some bridges if you want. And
yeah.
Although the flying handling is a bit odd because the planes are really wobbly, and I guess they're trying to simulate wind, but it's not as easy as you would want. I guess it's I'll just fly under that bridge, and it's like, oh no, I can't actually line that up.
Yeah, it's trickier than it's trickier than it probably should be. I think it's the wobbliness, isn't it? It's the fact that there's oscillations that are quite hard to dampen, which I guess is realistic. I mean, a lot of flying a plane is about damping oscillations, because things do wobble from side to side, I guess. But in terms of
dampen
fun, it's not so good, is it? I definitely didn't feel like free as a bird or whatever when I'm in a plane. I'm more like, oh, let's get it working.
Yeah, I think you're right. I
think some of the helicopters in like Vice City or whatever, you could just go. Was it Vice City have helicopters? No, San Andreas had helicopters. Yeah, you could just do whatever. You could just fly. It was super easy, whereas it's a bit more tricky in 5.
Yeah, I've not done too much of it. I did a couple of when I bought an airfield with Trevor and did a few flying drops with that, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's quite fun.
Talking to your Mexican provider or whatever.
Yeah.
Suppliers. It is what it is. It's definitely GTA and playing more of it. As I say, I'm not sure I think the tone sometimes might be getting to me now. Like, I had that problem the last week when we talked about it, but it's just, there's a little bit of like, can we all just lighten up a second?
Yeah, it gets a little bit relentless, especially with the main story missions of the guys all the guys you're involved with being dickheads, basically. But there is the occasional like some of the side missions are a bit more lighthearted, aren't they? Like Strangers and Freaks and stuff.
Yeah, although those just. Yeah, those are almost too weird in some cases.
Yeah, they're a bit weird.
Like I've done one of the celebrity theft missions with Trevor.
They're dumb.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that's probably weird. It's like it's just the characters agreeing to it. Like I just don't understand that part.
No,
of it.
Yeah, Trevor though I guess is mental, but still, no reason for it really. Except for something to do.
Something to do. Yeah. And like I said before, I think they're presented way better in Red Dead. It felt like there was.
Oh yeah, Red Dead is just generally more coherent. I really like Red Dead. I can't wait for. Although I heard there was a rumor again of Red Dead HD. People were hoping it would be announced at that Sony event, and it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was that event was never going to be a place to announce games. That's not what.
Yeah. But it could. That's. The latest rumor is that there will be I thought it was in such a state that they'd never be able to release it for PC or and that they'd just have to release the sequel, ultimately. But hopefully we'll be able to play the original again, on a new system before.
Yeah, one would assume with a remaster job, they've probably rewritten a large chunk of it.
Potentially. So, but yeah, I wouldn't want that to take away from them making the sequel because that's what really is really going to be. Pretty damn epic.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to that happening.
Yep.
And outside of that,
anyway.
Well, game of the generation.
Yeah. Who knows?
And outside of that, not been playing a great deal. I dipped into Overwatch to see what the new level's like because that landed.
Oh yeah.
And it was Eichenwalder. And it's okay. I think it's a trickier level than the others because it's like the open areas aren't so open, and the corridors are relatively confusing, and quite a lot of them. And there's something about the visual style that makes things not stand out quite so much. It's like, don't get me wrong, it looks good. They've themed it like, you know, as well as they do every other thing they have in that game. But as a playable level, there's something a little less visual about it in terms of the feedback of what's going on. There's way more places where the people can get the drop on you from above, which is never one of my favorite mechanics in games. It's like sometimes it's fun, but most of the time it's just irritating. It's like, oh, couldn't see that guy coming. Well done him, but and I'm finding it a little confusing at the moment. But there's a specific mode at the moment which is just, well, we're just playing that. We're just playing this level. It's normal. It's a normal game. Just go on that level.
Yeah.
So there's a way of learning it, I guess. So I should spend some more time in there. It's Overwatch continues to be Overwatch. I still really want Zach to be in there though.
Well, how many map packs or maps need to be announced before Zach goes back into it?
I was wondering this to myself in the way that, like, you remember when TF2 came out, what was the update cadence for that? And it's like, actually, I don't know, like, maybe this is the same, if not faster, than the original TF2, like, started doing character updates.
I don't really remember what happened in, like, the medic update and, like, how the maps were doled out with the updates to, like, the guns and stuff. I feel like they did quite a big drop in the early part. Like,
well, the early one was payload, right? Because they added a couple of payload maps along with a new game mode. And
I guess.
Yeah. And they're some of the classic maps, aren't they? Well,
which Overwatch has really shown no desire to actually do other than Lucio Ball, like, is to add new game types.
Well, they already had payload.
Yeah, well, payload is their main game type in this. There's only two, isn't it? There's that and the King of the Hill game. So it's I'm playing that, and I don't really know what else to talk about. Really, it's like I'm not been doing a great deal else. Just trying to get through GTA, trying to get through that. I'm highly tempted to give Redout a go.
Right.
So Redout surprised me. It was like I've been following my future races. Like, and the development of Grip and the development of Formula Fusion. And earlier this week, like, a future racer called Redout by an Italian developer, I think it's 34 Big Things, I think they're called, promising to be, we took everything that we liked from Wipeout and F-Zero and we made one of those. And it's generally the reaction that I'm reading online of people that have played it are just like, they nailed this.
Seriously.
So it's like there's out of nowhere a future racing game, or as I'm learning, AG racing might be the name of the genre.
Right.
Like anti-grav racing might be the might be the genre, like the F-Zero and Wipeout and stuff belong to. But yeah, like, out of the blue, this thing comes out and apparently is very good. If you're into your future races, this might be the thing, in a sort of uncompromising way, as in that you really have to feel the flow of the drive kind of way. So kind of a lot like Wipeout at high speeds.
Sounds good. You're going to play this then?
I'm really tempted. It's like a £30 game, which is currently 10% off. So it's it's the upper end of what you might want to pay for a future racing game in this age. But it seems reasonably well featured. Like, it's got 20 tracks, it's got several cars. It's
20. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, Fast Racing Neo had 16, and you could argue that was half the price when it launched. But and don't forget that Fast Racing Neo DLC is coming out at the end of the month. Woo! With another 8 tracks.
Excellent.
So it's a good time to be a future racing fan. It's a good time. So I'm
after a long gap, I guess.
Yeah, I'm highly tempted to dip into that while we wait for, I guess, October and November is when things start kicking off on my radar. Like, it's a year for multiplayer shooters. I'll probably get Infinite Warfare, and I forget there's another one I'm interested in, but I can't remember what it was. I'm getting a bit lost with the number of games about at the moment. Like, just what's coming out?
Getting marginally hyped about Planet Coaster.
Oh, Titanfall.
Oh, really?
once Planet Coaster hit Steam and actually got a release date where it's like November, and I was like, yes, now I can start maybe thinking about being enthusiastic about this game. Although I'm still like, it'll probably still be good even if they don't manage to make it anything more than a sandbox. It's like, as a sandbox, it looks pretty great. Like the way that the stuff that you can build, and like just the scenery system that they have allows you to build like quite complicated stuff. But again, it's just like, that's only if you like building stuff for no reason, I guess, because it's like, it's not, there's no way the game can actually detect that you've made something really cool.
I suppose. But that doesn't stop you though, Zach, does it?
No, exactly. Like, if you like that sort of thing, it'll probably work as a sandbox, but it's still a question of like, will they manage to pull off a mission structure or anything to make it like, or like set up, maps basically.
Make it a game.
Like constraints.
I mean, how good were they in Rollercoaster Tycoon anyway? Were they actually good, or?
Well, the trouble with Rollercoaster Tycoon was like, sometimes they had some interesting restrictions, but the only measure of victory they had was always like, how many people are in your park, or how much money do you have? And it's like, that's the only two constraints that they had for defining victory. So yeah. After a certain point, if you could just start the ball rolling, the restrictions became irrelevant, because it's just like, okay, I've done enough to get over the initial difficulty, and now I'm just going to keep growing.
Yeah, the game was almost always, the only trick it had was the starting point, really.
Yeah,
like the hit you've been put in a worse scenario, or hey, the terrain in this area is really messed up, or hey, your park can only be this really tiny area. Milk it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which are challenges. Don't get me wrong, but like that was pretty much all it had, and like so within the first like 3 or 4 levels, you've seen kind of what that game is, other than it slowly letting you spend longer on the levels to get the higher end gear, I guess.
Yeah. And that was also the other inherent problem with it, is just like, sometimes it didn't feel like it was balanced very well, where it's just like, I've already pretty much completed the objective, but I'm going to have to sit here for another 2 years.
Oh yeah. There was no early exit.
No. It was always, at the end of year 4, we're going to check to see how many people are in the park. You better have enough by then.
Oh yeah, better hope it doesn't explode.
Yeah, better hope one person doesn't leave right at the last moment and completely fuck you. Just reload the save.
I guess the game never had enough actual what's the word, peril, I suppose. Things couldn't really go wrong mid-run. Well, if you were having a good run and you were on target, you were going to do it.
It was the same problem as any game that with avoidable problems, where it's just if you accidentally let one of your rides crash, you just reloaded the save. It's there was no point in continuing and having people not want to go on that ride and then having to demolish it and then rebuild a new ride in its place. It's just that's just inconvenient. Just reload the save and make sure your maintenance guy gets to the ride before it explodes this time.
I suppose it depends on the type of player you are, I guess, as to whether you do that or not. But yeah, you're right. You cheese it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it is a 4-year level that you're having to get through, and it's it's the last half of the last year. It's oh no, this might actually screw everything up, but I can just reload the save. So I looked up the TF2 map list, going back to that.
Yeah.
So there was those 6 maps at launch.
Yep.
And then there was 5 maps that came out over the next 5-ish months.
Wow, that's fast.
But then there was the big patch, which came out about 6 or 7 months after launch. I don't actually know what the launch date is, and these dates aren't helping. 6 or 7 months after launch, there was a big patch that had 6 maps by itself. So basically tripled within 6 or 7 months, I guess.
So that's your standard. That's what you want Overwatch to do before you'll go back to it. So.
Well,
I'm going to have to look at this. I'm going to have to look at this list because I don't remember it being that many levels. I couldn't tell you that many levels.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. You look at this and be like, oh yeah, there are a few levels that we don't play very often, like Turbine and Hydro. And 2 Fort.
Sure. Right.
2 Fort.
Yeah,
2 Fort was in the original, right?
Yeah, that was at launch as well. Of course. Man, I wish people did play Hydro. Hydro wasn't a terrible level.
I
It was
really
just
quite
because it was
liked.
a weird game type that people didn't like
Yeah.
at the time.
I really quite liked Hydro. I thought it was kind of it was slightly bizarre. And Turboing kind of fell by the way, didn't it? They used to get a lot of play.
Well, it's like no one plays Capture the Flag either.
No.
And the Turbine was kind of inherently like had crazy difficult bottlenecks. Whereas like if you let someone get entrenched, it was virtually impossible. But if you did get entrenched, you could just get walked really easily.
Yeah. I'm just sort of, so when did the
And of
game
course
actually came out in 2000? The game came out in 2008, did it? Like March-ish?
Yeah, I think so. And then of course there was Arena. I guess that sort of reduces the number of maps in that list to some extent.
Yeah, right, I guess, if you were into that, yeah. Just all wasn't.
No.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it was quite a lot faster. All right.
We'll see.
Upheld. It's not like I don't. It's like I don't think they're ever gonna stop in the near future for Overwatch. Right? They're going to come up. What they're going to do, like perhaps within the next 6 months, is to come up with a way of monetizing the game again.
You mean more so than they already have?
Yeah, because I'm not convinced that can necessarily stay going. Well, maybe it can. I don't know. Like if people want to keep buying loot boxes and keep the game alive, then go for it.
Well, I have to put a bunch more loot in because it's not like there's that many skins, relatively speaking, or not that many that people care about that aren't just simple recolors.
Man, there's a lot of levels here I actually don't know.
Yes, it's quite a list. There's just a lot of levels. Even after that first period of updates, it's like look at all these levels. It's just like, yeah, I think I maybe played that once.
Yeah, of course. I think I'm forgetting the King of the Hill stuff as well.
Speaking of levels,
that was a reasonable chunk.
Speaking of levels, here's something else I was thinking about in terms of Rocket League. Apparently, in this coming up patch, there's going to be a new map put into labs.
Right.
Which is just basically an octagon. So it's quite a simple map for labs, I guess.
Okay. Right, yeah.
But so for that, I was thinking about, logically, that might be the next map to go into ranked, because it's quite simple. And therefore people won't be quite so pissed.
Sure.
But then I was thinking about
be fine.
how they're trying to make this big deal about Rocket League esports and everything. After they've just done their big tournament and they're already starting sign-ups for the second one or whatever, and the crate key situation where buying keys in Rocket League is going to fund the prize pool and all that kind of stuff that Valve already does. That Psyonix is just stealing. But just I feel like they're going to have to start once there's more than 4 different maps in ranked. I think they're going to have to start putting those into professional games, because I feel like the skill ceiling on Rocket League has pretty much already been reached, and then there's nowhere to go from there apart from to have different maps.
Maybe.
They won't keep people's interest if it's just here's the pros play Rocket League on that same map again, and they're all as good as they always have been, because that's how good you can be at Rocket League. There's nothing to shake it up if you're just going to keep playing standard maps, standard Rocket League.
People got too good too quickly.
Yeah. And, if they're going to make us play non-standard maps in ranked, they should make the pros play non-standard maps in ranked.
That's true.
That should be part of the deal.
Yeah, esports never follow those rules, though. They always come up with something else, something different, some oddities to the nature of it. It's like esports Counter-Strike is subtly different from even ranked Counter-Strike on.
Yeah, even in regular ranked Counter-Strike, you still only play Dust 2.
Yeah. I do quite. The thing is those other maps on Counter-Strike aren't bad either. It's just like that's just where everyone wants to go.
Yes.
I guess it's because map knowledge is so key to that game, but it's like I'd quite like to go somewhere else every now and then.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I expect that Octagon won't be in labs for long, because it does seem like a really obvious, quite simple map to get put into ranked. Not like the donut or the weird pillars.
You say it won't be there for long, but they've still got to come up with a theme for it, and they've still got to build the theming. And
well, yeah, but I mean, how much effort does that really take?
I mean, I'd imagine that's actually most of the work that goes into Rocket League now is the theming.
Sure, but I mean, like thinking of a theme is just like it's not really a theme. It's just like a stadium in an environment. You don't have to do anything particularly fancy. You could just stick a skybox in there and you'd be pretty much done.
I hope they don't though. I kind of like the direction they sort of went with, like, hey, let's have Tokyo and let's have Utopia or whatever. Let's make something, nicely different, or even the Wasteland stuff. That was a nice skin.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, it's still just like generic stadium surroundings. It doesn't seem like a thing you have to think about too much. You don't have to go into minutia with that kind of thing. It's just like, it's Tokyo. It's just like big buildings and neon signs.
a big industrial warehouse. They haven't done one of those before. Even though I suppose the station is kind of close,
Urban Central is kind of like that. There's going to be new weather for a couple of the levels as well. I think you're getting Urban Central in like dusk, and one of the other levels with rain.
More, I'd be actually kind of interested in more Manfield style stadiums. Actually, just more stadiums.
Oh, that would be much easier to make.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I kind of like how Manfield looks. It's that's the game for me. Is how that level looks. Even if I do quite like Neo Tokyo. Saver.
Yes, you get more level specific sound effects.
Yeah,
that could be something they could spend some time on.
Announcers. They should add announcers to the game, like properly.
That would probably get really annoying. It can already be kind of annoying in Tokyo.
Oh no, that thing's fine. It's like it's so muffled that it's kind of okay. Savo. The Rocket League speculation minute.
Yep. Well, some of that wasn't really speculation. Some of that's about to be released.
Yeah, about to be real. Oh, man, I missed a massive, massive thing.
Did you?
How did I forget this? We played the Battlefield 1 beta.
Wow, yeah.
That's kind of a big deal.
Is it? I don't know.
Well, it's Battlefield.
Yeah.
You were the one that was supposedly interested in it.
That's maybe the problem, though. It's just like, it's Battlefield.
Well, yes, it is. The way I described it immediately to Dan and Kippers,
actually, the problem might be that it's Battlefront, which might actually not be as good. It's
Battlefront-field, yes. It is a halfway house between what Battlefield used to be and what Battlefront feels like. But I don't think it's come off all that badly. I mean, I'm not too impressed with the level, the Sinai Desert that they put in the beta.
Yeah.
That level basically has all of my problems with Battlefield rolled into it, and that big open spaces are nothing but snipe fests, and some of the buildings, some of the actual close combat stuff kind of highlights that your shooting model isn't all that at times. Like, it has all the problems that I dislike about it. I don't think Battlefield has always had the problem where I don't think the feeling of bullets connecting was particularly good or particularly satisfying. I don't know. There were moments where you're in the back of a 50 cal or the mounted gun equivalent, whatever they had in World War I, and it's like, I've just torn you apart with 8 bullets. Yet you're still alive somehow, and you've just fired one shot into my arm, and I'm dead. It's like the feeling of hit detection in that game, or the feeling of might, it is kind of off. like in the way that it always is in Battlefield. The one place I think where they have sort of improved it is actually when the tanks are now feel like tanks. They feel hardy. Like there are plenty of classes that can actually not really do anything about it. And it's like, well, that's irritating. It feels right in terms of what you're coming up against and who you are on the ground. And
then that's just going to lead to the problems that Vietnam had, where it's like everyone only plays the one class that's actually useful.
Well, there's no like sort of rocket launcher class anymore. So like all infantry has a bit of a problem against tanks. It's like as the assault guy, you do get anti-tank style grenades, but it takes quite a few of them to actually take one down. Chances are you're going to need another vehicle actually to do the damage. You can there is a C4 equivalent. Dynamite's still a thing, which is probably the go-to attempt to try and take these things out. So I find myself in a sort of like middle of the road position with it, in that I can't help it. The new presentational layer is nice. The fact that it's built on Frostbite, and oh man, it looks crazy pretty. It has to be said. It's an incredibly good looking game.
I noticed that they've attempted again to bring back deformable terrain.
Yeah, some of that's there. There were craters.
The question is,
will
that actually survive to release? Because you remember what happened with Battlefield 3, where it's like they had deformable terrain in the beta, and then by the time they got to launch, it's like, no, just forget about that.
Yeah, it caused too many problems. It seemed fairly. The beta itself actually seemed fairly solid. Like the only real problem I had with it was the occasional animation glitch. Not quite in classic Battlefield fashion. I didn't see any extended necks. Yeah, but I did see ammo packs mysteriously moving 100 yards to the left and right when people climbed ladders. They were like, "Wait!" It's like it wasn't actually very glitchy at all. The biggest problem actually were the servers just getting into the thing.
Sure.
Like, because Origin basically got DDoS'd on the first day, like really badly, and so you couldn't just get into Battlefield, you couldn't get into Origin, so that was problematic. But once you're in, it's like it kind of seemed to work just fine. I mean, Kips and I had some partying up problems. We couldn't get into games for a while, but I reckon that's related to some of the DDoS issues. And it does have a server browser built into the game. Now you don't have to use the stupid battle log to do things. Everything's in the game now, and it seems well put together. But it's definitely clear that they've built everything for this on top of what they built for Battlefront. It's a framework for them to make those battle games. But it kind of works. What I'm not sure about was that the player base seemed pretty dumb. Like, not offensive, not flaming in any way, because the Battlefield community is relatively quiet in those games. There's not a lot of text chat going on. But they did seem just a bit bad at the game. And I'm sorry, Battlefield community, but if you're playing as a medic with, like, heal packs, throw some heal packs out. If you're playing a support guy with ammo packs, throw some ammo packs out.
Well, as I was speculating, it's like, had they even unlocked the ability to actually use the good med pack or whatever?
Oh, no. I don't think that was even in the game. I think you had to throw out the pansy ones where you had to pick them up.
And but they were always irrelevant. Like, even in the previous Battlefield games when those existed, it was just like, no one ever threw them either.
It's just annoying, because, like, the ammo one was the most egregious, because, you can regen health eventually if you're everyone else.
Yeah.
So maybe a medic isn't necessarily as crucial, but you do run out of ammo, and there's not a lot you can do about getting more of it unless a support guy comes along and throws an ammo pack down. I don't think you can steal packs anymore. I don't think you can swap to like other things. I don't think you can pick up ammo off fallen people, for instance. So it's like the support guy is your only option other than die. And it's like, if no one's throwing down ammo packs, that was annoying. I saw it happen once, and I think that was when Dan was watching me, and not long after I'd made the comment, it's like, nobody throws ammo packs down. And then someone actually threw one down. Yeah. And I think that was only because I was spamming the need ammo communications channel. Need ammo.
Well, the thing that people have been saying, and not necessarily related to ammo, but it just made me think about it as as a bad solution to that problem is that now that there's no ticket penalty for dying as such, you just redeploy. So I expect if you just run out of ammo, just redeploy.
Yeah, I guess. But then you're somewhere else than you are, maybe.
Well, not if you... Yeah. I mean, if you happen to be at a point you've already captured and you run out of ammo, just redeploy at the same point. And that seems to be the main thing that people have been complaining about.
It still has squad spawning as well, so you can still spawn on any member of your squad. And
people have been complaining about how they fucked up Conquest now that the ticket system is different.
Just go play Rush.
Yeah, but Rush was never that great because it was always such an incredibly difficult thing to balance.
It's the same here. It's like, I don't think I ever saw a defense win on that. Although I'm not entirely sure in the games I was playing. Again, I think the players that were in the beta were kind of bad.
Yeah, they just didn't know the attack defense concept.
Yeah,
just like shoot each other.
I didn't see a lot of people ever defending. Was the problem with it? They just went and shot guys. They were playing Call of Duty Field.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it has to be said that game looks. I have to special mention the weather system in that game is kind of fascinating. It doesn't really affect the game much, but it looks real nice. It does dynamically change throughout the map, and not every game you'll have will be the same. It's not like it follows a set pattern. It's not like, was it that island level in Battlefield 4 where there's always going to be a storm halfway through?
Well, not always.
Almost every time.
Levolution. I'm pretty sure there was a trigger for it.
Well, there was a trigger for the boat crashing, wasn't there, on that one?
Yeah, like there was a trigger where you had to destroy one specific wind turbine or something and cause the boat crash, I think.
Yeah, so it's subtler than that. It's not like okay, there was a sandstorm on one game that I played, but just one game. I never saw it again. On another game, it was foggy, which is kind of fun because the map is now just an aerial view of the level, like rather than a special map screen. So when it zoomed out, you couldn't actually see anything because the fog was there. Which I thought was kind of funny. And then
also kind of funny.
Yeah, a little bit. But then, like, even little things, it's like there are some matches you play where it's overcast and like the lighting is a bit duller than normal, and then every now and then you'll get a break in the clouds and the whole level suddenly lights up. And man, the lighting and the look of the rocks, and it's a lovely looking game, like undeniably a lovely looking game. Which makes me a bit disappointed about that Mass Effect demo. It's like, this is running on Frostbite. I've seen way better stuff running on Frostbite.
Yeah, I don't think it was kind of a murky black series of platforms, wasn't it? I don't know. I get the feeling that wasn't representative of Mass Effect, let alone what you can do with the engine.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it reminded me of the bit in Mass Effect 2 where you go into the Geth sort of mine zone or whatever.
Geth mine zone.
Isn't there a bit where you hack like into the computer?
You go inside a Reaper, the dead Reaper.
Oh right.
By the end where Legion shows up.
No. Isn't there a bit where you're?
Oh, well, you mean the Geth mainframe thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of cool in its own way because it had like those like neon lines around the edges of the room where you would be detected or whatever.
I'm not saying it wasn't cool, but I'm saying that that's what I thought of when I saw it because that was just you in there in the mainframe, wasn't it? You didn't have your party with you.
No, I think you did. They just couldn't trigger anything.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, never mind. But it was different stylistically to the entire rest of the game. And that's kind of what I kind of thought. And I thought they'd pick that sequence probably because it had high dynamic range on the colours or some shit. I don't know. And they didn't want to show it too much.
Yeah. No, they're definitely keeping that. We still don't know when that game's coming out, really. So they're keeping their cards pretty close to their chest. So I don't know. Like, how do you feel about Battlefield at the moment, Zach? Like, because I'm not convinced I'm still not convinced I want to go in on it. Like,
no.
Because I'm still terrified, actually, about the volume of content problem that they had with Battlefront. Definitely. It's like, if this is Battlefront-a-field, then there'll be, like, 4 levels.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it doesn't seem... They haven't really said anything yet, really, have they?
Well, we've only really seen 2 maps, I think.
I mean, they've suggested that there's like
maybe 3.
6 different armies you play as or whatever, which
only...
for some reason don't include France or Russia somehow, which is hilarious.
That only suggests a minimum of 3 levels as well. So
yeah, exactly. People were complaining about that as well, where it's like, how can you have about World War One game and France and Russia aren't one of the teams you can pick? Although apparently people have been saying that that's because they might be for the single player, like France and Russia might be more focused in the campaign.
If you're going into Battlefield wanting a single player, then you're doing it wrong.
Well, I mean,
Battlefield single player was never good.
At least this one will be like a new thing to do. It'll be like their like Medal of Honor, I guess.
I guess. Well, that's not a seal of approval.
Well, I didn't mean like the most recent Medal of Honor. I was like the old ones, like World War II Medal of Honor, when it was just a campaign.
Yeah, back when Call of Duty 2 was actually about the campaign. Imagine that.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It made a reasonably good impression, is what I'll say. But you know, I just don't trust them.
No. Definitely don't pre-order.
Yeah. I think that's a mistake. Not unless Snoop Dogg's put his special weapon in the box.
Yeah, but then you'd have to get the box in order for that to work.
That's true. Yeah, don't pre-order on.
We don't have smell-o-vision yet.
And like, I was looking at Titanfall 2 like on Origin because it's like, and just seeing what they're going to charge for it, and it's like it's what's it like £50 for even the PC version of that, and it's like, that suddenly sounds not
Same
great.
problem, basically.
Yeah, was it like £65 if you want the deluxe version, and it's like that's a lot of money. Come on, Origin. Like
you don't buy it on Origin, you buy it on disc at least.
Yeah, and use the key or install off the disc or whatever. Yeah, that's definitely the play here if we're going in on Titanfall.
Because as we well know, that's basically what we did for most of the Origin games, where it was just like, fuck Origin. Even if you're only saving like a couple of quid, fuck Origin.
Yeah. It dawned on me the other day that I never got around to playing Garden Warfare 2. And that the price still hasn't reduced. Yeah, I know. The game I was sort of hyped for, I didn't actually play.
Sequel to one of your favourite games.
Yeah, the problem was I think I played a lot of the beta for that as well and came away thinking, this is the same, but the zombies are the less cool part of this.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as they focused on the zombies, it was like, what? Plants versus zombies, not zombies versus plants.
Yeah. I'm not sure I liked the new characters either. And it's like, I'd have gone into it had they made it like the same price as the last one.
Yeah.
But because they made it full price, it's like, nah, not so much. I'm saving for Japan right now when it came out. It's just... Anything else that you're looking forward to? Civ 6, Zach? You're looking at Civ 6?
I really like the way they're marketing that with the like steady drip feed of little videos telling you about each Civ at a time. I think it's really cool and clever. I quite like watching them. It's getting me interested.
Is it a bit like Meet the French?
Yeah, they're like this guy leads the French.
Well, I mean, they tried to do that for the last game, whatever that was called, Beyond Earth. Except that no one cared because they weren't very interesting. Yeah. Like, and they weren't actually interesting civilizations.
Yeah, whereas these are like real civilizations. So it's like, this time
here's a history lesson.
It's this guy, and then this is the unique ability of this civ, and here's the unique units, and here's the cool shit and everything, and here's the unique building thing. I'll
tell you something that I've pretty much literally just become interested in. Right this second, while I was looking at Steam, because it popped up on someone playing on my friends list. And I probably should have been paying attention to this beforehand. Project High Rise. It's basically Sim Tower.
Sim Tower is back. Wasn't Sim Tower like originally?
Or is it still early access?
Apparently, it might have released like literally just now.
Oh wow! Okay.
SimTower wasn't actually a game, was it? Originally, it was like actually software for designing towers or something, and then they turned it. They bought it from some Japanese company, and then turned it into a game.
Weird.
I think I still have a functional copy of Ute Tower somewhere around.
What? Ute Tower?
Ute. It's 2 O's and a T.
Ute.
I think it's the guy's name.
Okay.
Ute.
Made by Mr. U.
Yeah.
It's not me, it's you.
It was like, I'm not sure which came first. I think Ute Tower was after SimTower, but it wasn't really like necessarily an advancement on it exactly. It was like a marginal spin-off.
Just
did
open
slightly different things.
Did he even open source it, or is it owned by Mr. U?
I don't even remember what it was released as.
It's not like
wasn't
open TTD or whatever.
No, it's also as old as SimTower. It was like not long after SimTower, I think. Probably
Ute Tower.
Maybe look at that.
Hmm.
Our survey says
Interesting.
Ute Tower was released in 1998. It's the spiritual successor to SimTower, which was 94.
Okay.
Interesting.
Published by Sega, apparently. Okay.
Well, okay. That I didn't expect. There better be like an arcade you can build on like 5 floors of that tower.
Well, you could always build arcade-like things in SimTower shops, I suppose.
So are you going to check out Project High Rise?
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I think I might
next time.
It's literally only 15 quid. Literally. I don't know why I said literally. That's just how much it is. It was the correct use of literally. Well, no, I guess not. I guess it's actually literally $14.99.
Okay, just to be literal.
Yeah.
It is worth money. I know. I'm looking at this list, going. If I get my PS4, maybe Res Infinite.
Yeah, that.
And Recore is this month, which I like the style of that game. I don't know how it's going to play yet. Apparently, like everyone, like the early impressions are, it's actually about dodging more than the shooting, which I'm kind of okay with. Like if that makes it a bit Metroid Prime-y in feel, which makes sense because it's made by the same people, then that's cool. I can get behind that. And it's it's a budget title technically. Budget
like
title.
Another one that you're going to want to wait for a review on, though.
Well, it'll come out on PC as well, so woo.
Cool.
And then we actually watched some stuff on Paper Mario Color Splash. That game is looking good.
Sort of, I guess.
I mean, it looks good. We'll give it that.
Yeah, exactly.
But mechanically, it's still yet to play out. But I love what they're doing with their special moves. That stuff is cool.
Although it's like, might it just fall into the old Final Fantasy summons problem, where it's like it's cool once, but then please God, let me skip it.
Maybe, yeah. Depends if they have any kind of Paper Mario style active element to them.
Yeah.
Or Mario and Luigi active element, I guess, is probably more accurate.
Well, I mean, the 1,000-Year Door ones had some active elements, although it wasn't really during the thing, it was like before the thing.
Or after.
Oh, yeah.
You could do the style bonuses. Yeah, all right. I think we've run this into the ground.
Yep, pretty much.
Dig us out, Dan.
What a great metaphor. Right, that's the end of this podcast. It seems to have crashed into the side of a hill. So we'll be back
like all of my flying in Battlefield. Yeah, I can shoot you. Oh, I've crashed into you.
Indeed.
All of everyone's flying.
Well, we'll have slightly longer for slow, so slightly more stuff for the next time in a couple of weeks plus a few days.
For the next time.
In the meantime, check out our YouTube channel, happysalad.net. Is that correct?
happysalad.net.
.net. Well, that's our website.
happysalad.net is that the name of the YouTube? Yeah, probably is.
We never know.
I don't know.
Just look up Happy Salad, that'll do.
you can find us with many, many videos to while away the hours, including probably some new ones.
Yeah, there's a couple I need to upload that I've been a bit lazy about.
Yeah, I noticed. Also, I think you somehow managed to delete the description on one of the videos. So you probably
what? Oh yeah, I can see that. I'm there right now. You're totally right. I'm not sure how I did that.
No, I'm not sure how you did that either.
Okay.
The channel's actually called Happy Salad. Hooray. And check that out, and we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks.
Boop, boop, boop.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Boy.